stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilman Bodier.
Present.
Councilman Hewitt.
Present.
Councilman Johnston.
Present.
Councilman Landry.
Present.
Councilman Murray.
Present.
Mayor Mosca.
Present.
Police Chief Dickinson.
We'll be here in about an hour and a half.
Before we get involved with special presentations,
I'm not finished the roll, excuse me.
I'm
sorry. That's okay. Fire Chief St. Cyr, the city attorney is here, and the clerk is here. Thank you, Mayor.
all right, before we get involved with special presentations, the chief has one this evening. He's running late, and when he gets here, because the special person is getting the special presentation is already here, we'll probably suspend the rules so we don't have to keep him any longer. So as far as special presentations, does anyone else have any?
We do have one, Mayor, but I'm waiting for something to get here, so if we can.
Yeah, we'll do the same thing with that then. Before we move to address the council, I wanted to,
Do we need to amend the agenda?
sorry?
Do we need to take a vote to amend the agenda with the new rules? Or that's, we just doing it? Are we moving to special presentations, or we just?
No, we're not, we're gonna wait until they get here.
I'll make a motion. Second. Special presentation till later.
All right, motion to suspend the rules to make the special presentations at the time that they're available. All in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? 5 days, no nays. Before we move to address the council, I wanted to give some information, so in anticipation of some of the comments you may have. Also, normally when you address the council, our normal procedure is you come up and you address the council, the audience, the community. We very rarely engage in question and answer with each other, because we feel that if you want to discuss something with one of the council people or myself, you are available to discuss it at any reasonable time, day or night. Now, sometimes you make exceptions, and tonight might be one of them, because one of the councilmen may want to answer something, and I'm going to leave that to their discretion, whatever they wish to do. But I wanted to make everyone aware of the fact that the city of Harahan has a municipal code, and this is it. And our laws are codified in the municipal code. And one of the laws that we have pertains to a what's known as C1 Neighborhood Commercial District. Now, this was written some time ago in connection with our zoning laws. We spent a great deal of time, effort, and energy with the University of New Orleans, a lot of participation by our citizens. At the end of the day, there was an ordinance that was voted on unanimously to implement certain zoning laws in the city. Now, what I want everyone to understand is that as of today, as of this moment, we have what's called C1 Neighborhood Commercial District. And the permitted uses in that district are as follows: an appliance store, a bank, a bookstore, an athletic club, a restaurant, including drive-in food. These are just some of the permitted uses that a person can apply for today in C1, and if they pass the other regulations, they're entitled to. None of these permitted uses have any reference to square footage. Now, maybe that's a mistake, I don't know. Maybe we have to rethink this and go back and put square footage on a restaurant. I don't know if we want 100,000 square feet restaurant in C1. But what I'm saying is, as it stands today, these are items permitted in C1. I've been getting a lot of mail from people saying, we're destroying the city by C1. Well, these things are already permitted in C1. If we don't want them permitted, then the want to put square footage there, council needs to put square footage there. But at this moment in time, the council is operating under this law, and that's the law they're operating under. So it serves no useful purpose to attack this council or City Hall and saying, we don't want an appliance store in C1. We're going to fight it. It's already here. You know, if you don't want it, they would take it out. If you don't want a restaurant, we'll take it out. Up to the council. In addition to that, as I sit here right now, not one application for anything has been submitted to City Hall by Colonial Country Club. No request for a zoning change, it's R1. No request for anything, zero. No request for an ordinance, nothing. At the time these requests come in, your mayor and your council will address the request. Certainly we want to know about sewage, drainage, lighting, streets, fire hydrants. We're concerned about all that. But we cannot address it until there's some sort of application. What if Colonial decides to put just tennis courts there? You know, well, then the drainage requirements are going to be different than if they put homes there or something else. So this council is responsible, but they can't address the needs until we know what the request is. I think it's just, you know, these are hardworking council people, and to think that they're not thinking about sewage, drainage, fire protection, police protection, all that stuff with what's going to develop anywhere in the city is ludicrous. I mean, we're conscientious enough to know we might need a traffic study. We might need 5 traffic studies. We might need some sort of study from the levy board. I mean, we're going to exhaust everything we have to exhaust because we do live in a residential community that is a safe community with no crime, and people enjoy a quality of life. So all these people up here, especially independent of each other, are going to try and say, what about this? Shouldn't we do this? Shouldn't we do this? So I thank you for your comments and keep the ideas coming. But don't lose sight of the fact that we have common sense and we have intelligence and that we're going to do what we need to do to protect the city. Now, some of you might say, that's not true. There's nothing I can say to convince you differently. All I can do is, as these dedicated council people do, is do the best job they can. So with that said, we're going to open up to address the council. One at a time.
Mayor, Council, I came here tonight with the idea of addressing a few issues that were on the agenda. But after hearing the mayor's comments, it's really hard not to address those. So having spoken with many of the people involved in the discovery process of what's going on in our city with these ordinances, I don't think the concern came in because they were worried about a appliance store going in C1 and that was in the definition. It's somewhat disingenuous to address the fact that a non-issue may be what the issue is, and that's what the people are here for. No, there are real issues that brought this to a head. The city did introduce an ordinance to increase the size allowed in C1 for certain establishments 650% above what they are currently allowed to do. Those are real issues because that was really introduced, and there is a real ordinance that says that in it. It's not some innocuous, could be possibly. That was done. That is the issue that got people fired up. We wanted to know what's going on with a massive, major change to our zoning code. Speaking to the Planning and Zoning Board at their last meeting, we got into the history of the zoning ordinance as it stands today, and having been intimately involved in its creation, I was able to shed a little light on its history. It was done with more public input than any other ordinance probably in the history of the city. We had more open meetings. It took 5 to 6 years to put this thing together. Thousands of people had public input on it. What we had coming here was one ordinance that would remove size restrictions from C1 altogether. It would just leave it blank. Who then would be in charge of deciding what goes there? I don't think it would be the council at that point. It would be a bureaucrat involved in city government. That was a concern. The next ordinance that was put forward was an ordinance to increase the size to 75,000, a sure limit, but once again, 650% above. This had nothing to do with whether or not an appliance store was allowed in C1. I don't believe anyone here tonight has that on their mind, that they're concerned because all of a sudden they read appliance store. I think what happened was they saw an ordinance introduced at a special meeting, which is typically not attended by many people. They saw ordinances that were designed to remove size restrictions with another ordinance not following up immediately to place a size restriction there. Therefore, if you remove the size restriction and you cannot agree on a size, you live with no size restriction. There is no reason to remove it from the ordinance and place it in the definition. It starts to look, I don't want to say suspect, but if someone wanted to do something without the full clarity of the public, that would be exactly the way they would do it. And while that may not have been the intention of the council, it's what it looks like. And I don't want to cast and say that that was the intention. It just looks that way because that's how you do it when you don't want transparency. You make a small, minor change to a definition in an ordinance buried in the back of a book someplace, and you don't put the size restriction to follow, and you're left with nothing there. Many people in this community started looking at this as a colonial issue. I don't look at it as just a colonial issue, because you're right. I don't know if a councilman or the mayor or the city just decided one morning, we need to increase the size. Because if there's been no application and no one has asked for this, why did it happen? Did someone just decide one day, we need to have 100,000 square foot grocery stores in C1? I don't think. That's disingenuous to even consider that possibility. But I'll say let's go and I'll accept your explanation. The problem is those studies can't be done once you change the ordinance. How will this size increase affect our city? Because this isn't a colonial issue. This is a citywide issue. Because when you change that ordinance, it affects every piece of property in the city, not just a potential colonial request. There are several pieces of property that this will affect. And it's not just properties that will want 75,000 or 100,000. It's properties in neighborhoods that will want 25 or 35. There's every size limit in between there. If you read the zoning ordinances that we have in many of our municipalities throughout the state, they all limit the size in C1 to something around 10,000, many are less, 4,500, 7,500. Some are 15. Jefferson Parish has one definition that will allow 25,000, nowhere near what is requested with this. There was very little public input sought for this. I think you realize now the public wants to be involved. They want to be as involved as they were when the original ordinance was put together. Don't just take into consideration the needs of a developer or the needs of one entity. Take into consideration the needs of the entire and the desires of the entire community. Put this out to public debate. Let us know what you're doing. I see a resolution on here tonight expressing the will of the council to allow 65,000. Now we're getting multiple sizes. 65, 75, no limit. When you do a resolution, it doesn't hold the force of law. It does express the will of the council. But why would you do that? You're telling the public, we don't need to hear from you. We've decided. We're putting a resolution together because we have someone standing in the back of the room that needs 65,000, and that's the only voice we care about, not the voice of the people. it's been decided, you can go away. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we need to have multiple public debates about this, and if the public doesn't want it, and residential has to be developed on a piece of property, so be it. But don't do something that harms the entire future of this city without well-considered, thought-out actions. And I know the majority of the council that I've spoken to, I feel comfortable will do that. I haven't had a chance to speak to several members, but those studies about drainage, about fire, about police, about crime, about traffic, about infrastructure needs, they have to be done before you even consider this. Because if this goes into effect, just like you said, once they ask for it, we have to give it to them. You lose all, not all, but you lose the majority of your power to control how it will develop. The ordinance, or the resolution, excuse me, the resolution that's on here for tonight sets a bad precedent. It says that we're not going to decide to listen to the people and decide that they don't want any increase. It's telling someone, we're going to give this to you. You get into a situation where detrimental reliance can come into play. They can go out and try to do something with that, with a bank, with a property developer, and if they've changed their position, do they have a cause of action against the city if this is not approved? It's the types of things that you should ask the city attorney before these things are done. I don't know if the city attorney's rendered an opinion on the resolution, but I think it's important that those things be done beforehand. We're constantly closing the barn door after the cattle and the horses are out. Let's jump ahead of this. Thank you.
Dale Seminole, 140 McHugh. My comments concern recycling here in the city of Harahan. We recently had 3 informal meetings here in the council chambers where citizens gave input on another issue in the city right now. They were well attended. At the end of one of those meetings, Mayor Mosca, you conducted an informal poll, a show of hands, for individuals or citizens that would support reactivating the recycling program here in the city. And as I recall, a majority, more than half of the people in attendance, including myself, raised their hands, and that got me started to thinking about the recycling program. We had it at one time and it was deactivated for various reasons, but I think now is the time to, at a minimum, discuss it, to see if this is the time to bring it back. I understand that to bring it back, it would, as you mentioned, Mayor, during that informal poll, there would be a charge, $2 to $3 on average per household. I think that would be a reasonable charge. I wouldn't mind paying that myself to be environmentally responsible citizen. And the few people I've talked to since then, my neighbors and friends, they agree too. So I think right now, at this time, and at this point in time, I think there should be a discussion, whether to go forward or not. So, Mayor, at the end of the council meeting tonight, during your comments, when you address it, the citizens, I wonder if you could share at that time tonight what you have found through the various informal polls from the citizens and what your views and thoughts are. Also, another way I think the citizens could easily give their input is right here, the website, cityofharahan.com. Right now on the home page of the website, there is a issue that's posted where citizens can leave comments. I checked that today. There are more than 10 pages of comments from citizens giving their input on that other issue. I think it would be very easy to also include a recycling tab on that front page so citizens that might want to give input could do so. And since this would be a council action, I would also invite any other council members that have thoughts, opinions, views that would like to comment on this to also, during their time tonight, at the end of the council during their address to perhaps share those views also. I'm just suggesting that we start a discussion of this and then go forward. If the consensus is that this is the time to go forward with recycling, let's put that in motion. If the consensus is that this is not the time, let's put it to rest, and we'll address it down the road at some point in time. But I think we should at least, at a minimum, discuss this issue. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Ashley Cambry. When I first heard about this, I live at 8003 Jefferson Highway. When I first heard about this, I started looking up on the municipal code. It's on the city of Harahan, and some of the permitted uses of C1 in municipalities around this area, in the metropolitan area. And I printed out some for the council, if y'all want to pass those in. It's Jefferson Parish, just the ones, yeah. For Jefferson Parish, bakeries, retail, appliance stores, as they don't exceed 10,000 square feet. I think Mr. Bryan said something towards this. They also have a 10-acre minimum a maximum on these particular C1 neighborhood commercial. I also did Gretna, and I highlighted the different codes. Everyone can go to, I think it's Muni code for all the principalities in Louisiana. You can look up every one of them. And I'm going to pass this out to everyone so that they can look up the different square footage. And only one exceeds 10,000 square feet, and it's 15,000 square feet, but all of them are 10,000 or below. So I'd like to pass that around. Do I have the wrong code for Harahan? C1 neighborhood commercial under section B13. It says general retail service and repair establishments similar in character to those enumerated in this section, but not occupying more than 10,000 square feet. Is that the right one? Okay. Oh, it's the existing code. Okay. I just want to clarify that. Thank you.
Honorable Mayor, Councilman. Good start, isn't it? Channel 4, is this good for you right here? Sorry, folks. First of all, I'd like to ditto the last two speakers. I thought the information they gave was very important and valuable that the council should consider. But I also like to, I'm Phil Biandello, 721 Roseland Parkway, also on the Harahan Planning and Zoning Commission. There's some comments I'd like to make regarding the C1. Surely. Anyway, I'll listen to Mayor Mosca referring to the C1, and he went over the definitions. And that is true. You do go to the definitions when you want to see if a business or a use is permitted in that district. But there's another important issue you need to go to before you go to that. It's called the intent of the district. And if you do look up the intent of the district, that's going to govern what the district is meant to do, what it's there for, and what it is to serve. It's not going to list every business that's permitted, every business that's not permitted. Otherwise, you would have a document that would be tremendous in volume. So if we do go to neighborhood commercial district, and this is the intent of the district, it says the district is to provide primary for retail shopping and personal service uses to be developed either as a unit or in individual parcels to serve the needs of a relatively small area. Key word, relatively small area. Any planner that reads this ordinance is familiar with this, because this is not a specific ordinance just for us. You read this ordinance, it's pretty specific to ordinances that are throughout the United States, especially the state of Louisiana. Neighborhood commercial is meant to serve small groups of people in the neighborhood. It means just what it says, neighborhood. It's not supposed to be a community, general services. When the ordinance first came before the board, we were told that the ordinance was being brought to us to correct or to give further definition to the neighborhood commercial because there was some confusion into what was being permitted and that there was a simple, more or less definition correction. Well, I thought that was easy because that's a common thing to do. If you want to make your ordinance more specific and more readable, the more readable it is, the less definitions you have to write in and the more palatable it is to the people seeking the use and the bureaucratic person that has to give him permission or denial. Subsequently, I read about a week later that Colonial was proposing a large development in the front of the present country club. And then all of a sudden it smacked down on me that the ordinance that the board had looked at was not really talking about the general ordinance anymore. We were talking about something that was going to affect a specific piece of property. At least it appeared that way to me anyway. All of a sudden I felt like the elephant was in the room and we wasn't paying any attention to it. At the next meeting, we received another ordinance, last meeting we had, and it was proposed that we increase the square footage. And some of the board members asked, where was the study? Where was the notification? Where was the due process being taken? Normally you should have a study by the urban planner, the planning director. He should do a study. Well, let me back up a little bit. Somebody has to propose it, says we have a problem. Problem being is that this ordinance is not something we can all read and agree upon. So we should have the urban planner look at it, see what needs to be corrected, if anything, have a public hearing on it, and then decide on what square footage should be the maximum in the C1 district, which makes sense. This has nothing to do with Colonial, but yet that elephant was in the room all night. I think it's, from my perspective, it's a very dubious way to have development go on in the city. Why rezone, why change the whole zoning text for one development? Doesn't make sense, because you've affected all the C1 properties. You do that. Not to say you can't do it, not to say the council doesn't have the right to do it. What I would suggest that we bring it back through the due process procedure. And the second thing I would recommend is if Colonial wants to propose a development, they have every right to do it, and they should propose it, and it should go through the due process procedure. Those are my concerns I've had. I felt somewhat slighted at the last meeting because I just felt that things wasn't coming through the proper channels, and I didn't feel that the transparency was being provided for. I felt that the Planning Commission's job is to make sure that we hold that meeting, we get that information, we pass it on to the council, for you guys to make the decision. And so I would strongly recommend we go back through the due process procedure. I thank you. If you have any questions, we'd like to answer. Thank you.
We're going to suspend the rules like the motion at the beginning of the meeting, ask the chief to come up with a presentation, then we have another presentation after that.
I was wondering maybe after this we could suspend the rules. I apologize for being late. I had to go to my son's open house tonight, so I couldn't miss that. But thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I wanted to recognize Captain Carl Sazant. He's the commander of Troop B here over in Kenner, and Lieutenant John Stelly. He's a lieutenant over at Troop B in Kenner. If you don't mind, John, can you come up here? I wanted to present something to you tonight. And his wife, Melissa Stelly. You come up here, Melissa. When I took office, we were lacking a current and cohesive procedure order for the police department. This was a big undertaking, which involved writing and editing procedures in every aspect of law enforcement. Tonight, I wanted to publicly thank Lieutenant John Stelly of the Louisiana State Police, Troop B, for accepting this project. Lieutenant Stelly and I worked together for many years. Actually, we went through the academy together, DWI task force, arrested probably thousands of drunks. And believe it or not, he was my math professor. So if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have graduated college. I'd still be in algebra right now. But on behalf of the Harahan Police Department, the mayor and I want to thank Lieutenant John Stelly for his commitment to us, and more importantly, for helping me take one more step in putting Harahan Police Department on the right track. We'll give the citizens of Harahan the police department they deserve. Thank you. Thank you. Grateful appreciation to Lieutenant John Stelly, Louisiana State Police, for your invaluable assistance and professional excellence. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chief.
And I know, and if you don't mind, you want me to go over the crime stats now, Mayor? Okay. While I'm up here, I wanted to go over the crime stats real quick, if that's okay with the mayor and the council. The number of service calls we had this month was 693. Reported accidents, we had 14. The number of citations we wrote, 143. Number of charges, 196. Funeral escorts, none. Patrol requests, we had 9. So remember, if you have speeders on your block, and I know a lot of y'all have been calling in, continue to do that. And you can call me on my cell, 289-8149, and we'll have an officer to you ASAP. If we have one clear, I'll send him right away. Of course, no murders, no rapes, no robberies. We had 2 residential burglaries. We'll see that decrease, especially since school is in. So the number of car burglaries, and also we've made a number of arrests recently. So attempted burglars, we had 2. Non-residential burglaries, none. Motor vehicles, none. Attempted motor vehicles, none. We had 9 larceny thefts and 15 assaults. And that's it for the crime report. And I think Darlene wanted to say a few words about the the National Night Against Crime. Would you like her to do that now?
Sure.
Mayor? Darlene? I guess she won't do that now.
The speaker's out there, they said,
Is Darlene out in the hall? Okay, we'll get it next month. Any questions? Okay. Sorry? 1 gator catch, and I can honestly say we have less people calling in about their pets disappearing, so that's even going very well. We will be out tomorrow night, so you know, it's going well.
I think only in South
Thank you.
Louisiana you would have the policeman posing with an alligator and very proud of catching it.
He's the alligator hunter.
I have a presentation. It's not, it's a sad presentation, but we want to do this. On June the 4th of 2011, we lost a Harahan citizen that was very dedicated to the seniors in Harahan, E.J. Mooney. E.J. was the director or the coordinator at the senior center. And we worked at the senior for like 19 years, and he was the coordinator for at least 13 years. And the board wants to bring Ann Mooney up, his lovely wife. The board put together a plaque that we would like to put up on the building. The mayor has approved it. In memory of E.J. Mooney. I'd like to present this to the family, and then we'll get it back from her later.
husband all the support, your kindness, your love, and I just hope y'all keep doing a good job. And he appreciated everything y'all did for him. Thank you.
We're going to go back to address the council.
I'm not finished.
I'm sorry.
That's all right, that's all right. Also, I'm the chairman of Harahan Community Council on Aging. And we have at the senior 15 members. And at the last meeting, the board brought a resolution up voting to ask the city to rename the senior center the E.J. Mooney Senior Center. I have a resolution. We passed it out to the councilmen. The members voted, and now they're asking the council next month to introduce an ordinance to make it official to name the senior center in memory of E.J. Mooney, who was very dedicated to the seniors in the city of Harahan. So there will be an ordinance introduced next month, and hopefully the council will pass it the following month. Just wanted to mention that. Thank you all.
Okay, we're going back to address the council. Those people who did not get a chance to address the council earlier, this is your opportunity, and please step forward.
Jimmy Predlove, Harahan Emergency Management. I'm not here to talk about the C1 or any of those ordinances. I'm here to talk about the people's protection. We're almost in the peak of hurricane season, and if you're not yet prepared, yes? If you're not yet prepared, it's time to get there. The parish is prepared, the city of Harahan is prepared. The parish plan is still the same as the 50-hour, 40-hour, and the 30 hours. 50 hours of the onset of tropical storms coming on shore, that's from south of the Intercoastal Canal. 40 hours is south of the Mississippi River. 30 hours, Harahan. Anything east, not just Harahan, everything east of the Mississippi River. Still the plans are, if you go to this any building, they will tag you, bus you out to places not yet known. You may take your pets, but the same thing, you have to have them in kennels of some sort. Decide to stay, which if it's a slow category 2 or a 3, I would say best for you to get out of here. A lot of people didn't want to leave, but not leaving because they said Katrina didn't do us too much damage. Katrina missed us by a half a degree. We was in the sights and it made a half a degree turn. That's only 30 miles from half a degree, and that's why we didn't have much damage as anything going further east. So if you stay, this is the recommendations: 1 gallon of water per person per day for at least 3 days for drinking and sanitation. Food at least 3 days supply of non-perishables. Battery-powered radios, flashlights, and spare batteries. First aid kits, which everybody should have anyway. Duct tape, hammer, nails, plywood, moist towels, garbage bags, plastic ties, personal sanitation. Can openers. How many people have can openers? They wait till they need one and then they say, where is it? Cell phones and chargers. And Bob Breck brought up a good idea. Power goes out, you ain't going to charge that cell phone. Get yourself one that plugs into your cigarette light in your car. Prescription medicine, infant formulas and diapers, pet foods, and extra water. For extra water, fill your bathtub up with water, because you're not going to use your drinking water to flush your toilet. Most toilets take 1.5 gallons to do it. Some of them take as much as 4 gallons. Dip a bucket in there, flush your toilet. And you can also give your dog water. If you need it, take and purify water, 16 drops of regular household bleach will clear 1 gallon of water and be safe to drink. fire extinguishers, matches, waterproof stuff, oil lamps. If you have oil lamps, make sure that you got them in a safe place that they don't get knocked over. If you use Coleman lanterns, those things put out a lot of heat. And in the middle of August, September, you don't want no heat in your house. You have a generator. If you intend on hooking it to your service panel, make sure you get an electrician to do that for you. I hear a lot of people, oh, I know how to do that, take alligator hooks and hook it to the line side. You hook it to the line side, that's the stuff that comes in before you. That's going back to that transformer. The line comes down and the lineman don't know that's up, he goes to pull with that. Now he's got 8,000 volts or better. Because that's all in reverse. Instead of a step down, it goes up. Don't put a generator inside your house. It'll put out enough fumes there to put you to sleep, and you ain't got to worry about no storms. Make sure you keep your car gassed up so that you can get out of here if you have to. After the storm's over, we don't want you riding around the streets. We had a beautiful setup after Katrina because we estimated 80-something% of the people left Harahan, gave us free access to all the roads to do to clean it up. And that was jumped on right off the bat, make things better for people. After 55-mile-an-hour winds, nobody's coming to help you. Fire trucks don't come out, ambulance don't come out. So you, like the old saying goes, you're on your own. It's up to the individual to prepare for himself. Now, if you decide to stay, in the past we've had asked the people to come to City Hall, give us your name and address. So after the storm passes, we can go out and pick up those addresses and look for the people that's there. We're not going to start at the end of Oak and go all the way down the line. No, we're going to go to the addresses of the people that we know are in the city of Harahan. But here again, it's up to anybody got an idea what, remember what a category 1 is? It's 74 miles to 95 miles. Category 2 is 96 to 110. The slow moving category 2 can do a lot of damage. Category 3 is 111 to 130. That's going to be bad news for you. You don't want a category 4 because that can go up to 155 miles an hour. A lot of houses won't take that. So, like I said, the time is now to get yourself prepared if you're not prepared. Yeah. Make your plans. If you're going to evacuate, go to a friend's house, relatives, hotels, or whatever. But we just want to make a little reminder to the people, well, not just Harahan, but the entire area, that what can be done for you, but you've got to do a lot for yourself. Thank you.
Mayor, can we get those guidelines posted on the website?
Sure.
They are.
They're already?
Hey, my name is Bill Stang. I live at 7961 Jefferson Highway, and I wanted to talk about the C1 change. Pull it down? Okay. I won't go back through everything. I think Brian did an excellent job of pointing out some concerns that's there. I'm all for economic development and finding money for the city of Harahan to move to bigger and better things. It just seems like we're coming through the back door on this one. We're giving a change to the total square footage to a building, and we're opening Pandora's box. We're not going to be able to stop anything that happens after once that ordinance gets in there at 75,065 or whatever it is. I would like to see, floodplains, different things of what's going to happen in the event. We're all here talking about, and we know this could be about colonial. I don't know what 15 acres would do. Am I opposed to something? Yes, I'm going to be opposed to it until I know exactly what's going to happen and how it's going to affect the citizens of Harahan, especially those that are surrounding the Colonial Club, Country Club. 15 acres is a lot. We talk about 75,000 square feet. I don't know how much of that is going to be concrete. It might be 15 acres. That's a heck of a lot more than 75,000 square feet. Where's that water going to go? Show me a plan not a conceptual plan, not a what if, but give me something to look at that is firm, let my opinion come in, then make the decisions on the different stuff, and let the council make the decisions what is right for the people. They're the ones that are working for us, and they need to listen to us. Okay? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Danny Flynn. I live at 251 Halsey Drive. I too would like to speak about the change in the zoning ordinance. One of my neighbors recently wanted to put a swimming pool in his backyard. When he had to go through that, and he's present here this evening, and he can testify to what I'm saying, he had to go to all of the neighbors all around the property, all around his home, and get permission in writing from each of those neighbors to have the city consider plans for a swimming pool in his backyard. He had countless ordinances he had to meet, and he couldn't have done that, if any of that work, if he had not gotten permission for those variances by all of his neighbors. When I wanted to add on my house, the same thing happened. I had to get permission from all of the affected properties around me to build an addition to my home. They had a say in whether or not I could do that on my property. That's the way we protect the property values in the city of Harahan. Now we see someone apparently trying to come through the back door and change ordinances for no reason. We're not that naive. Something is happening. There's no reason for the council even to consider this kind of action unless someone has a plan. But where are those plans? And where are the studies that should accompany those plans, just like someone that would be working on their home? This is a much bigger scale. You know, over the centuries, people have used something called the moral object to decide whether or not the actions that they were going to take are correct. Theologians use it, philosophers use it, and what it means is if you have an objective, you have something you want to do, and then how are you going to achieve that objective? You have to look at the moral object. And that means what are the results of the actions that you're going to have to take to achieve that goal? If those actions create a negative, harm someone or someone's livelihood, someone's property values, harm someone in some way, then the moral object is negative. And it means it's not a moral thing to do. You cannot do that. It's immoral. The ends do not justify the means. Even though that project may have been a good project and the intent was good, you can't do something wrong to achieve it. I think if we have this massive development in our city, property values can go down, people's biggest investment in their life, their homes, could be affected, insurance rates, all these studies that we would need to do before ever considering this kind of project. So I ask the council, please push this stuff aside until something concrete comes up, and then go through the legal processes that the council has gone through over the years. For very small projects, something this size should be monumental investigation before you approve anything like this. Thank you very much.
Anyone else wish to address the council? That was the time to do
I'm Patty Cuvion. I live at 149 Glenwood Avenue. I just want to bring up one thing that I made a lot of phone calls and I was given number, and I finally got to the man who is the chief of the United States FEMA National Flood Insurance person. He sets rates and does everything. He told me to make sure to ask that when a study is done, that when they say zero runoff, it has to be a 100-year flood, zero runoff, not just a rain, a 100-year flood, because he sets our rates by a 100-year flood. He decides if we're insurable by a 100-year flood. And if you fill 15 acres of a green space that's ponding area 48 on a FEMA flood map, we might not be insurable.
Anyone else, please step forward. All right, Madam Clerk, let's go to the minutes. I'm sorry.
Would you want to make
there's
a motion to
suspend
skip
the
straight
rules?
to ordinance 1 since we've already started
Sure.
discussing it?
A motion by Landry, second by Johnson to suspend the rules.
Oh, you have another?
Sure,
Yeah.
come on up.
I'm Terry Valenti. I live at 191 Colonial Club Drive, right, second house off of Jefferson. I will be looking at the conceptual CVS. And I'm just going to get it all out. You probably guessed, I am opposed to this project. I do not want to look at a CVS. I do not want to be flooded. I do not want my insurance rates to go up. I do not want increased traffic congestion. I do not want increased crime at my doorstep. But that's actually not what I'm here to say tonight. And there's two words that just keep ringing in my head. One is due process, and one is irony. And about due process, there's been several knowledgeable people speak about that, and I just wanted to point out that I think it's very ironic that Mr. Manzella's attorney, Mr. Beatman, is challenging Mr. Lauracella's claim to the property based on failure to follow due process. That has been the basis for him to keep the wolves at bay, so to speak. Secondly, today I found the lawsuit that Mr. Beatman filed against Mr. Lauracella, a petition for damages. It's 9 pages long, and it's full of a lot of irony. It's a good read. I don't have all of the attached supporting documentation, but there are some interesting parts to it, and one that I think will probably be a reoccurring theme is when he is describing Colonial Golf and Country Club, he describes its membership until the date May of 2010, was owned by a nonprofit corporation consisting of approximately 94 stockholders, 95% of whom were between the ages of 65 and 75 years of age. Now, you can draw your own conclusion, but I think the reason that was put in there is he was suggesting that maybe Mr. Lauracella hoodwinked the stockholders. My husband is 73 years old and has been a stockholder of Colonial for many, many years. And on the night before the stockholder meeting, Mr. Manzella came to our home and told us he was going to save Colonial by building a residential cul-de-sac across the street from our home. The following day, my husband voted to turn over his stock to the Manzella group. Irony. And the last thing that I want to bring up is I have been here so many times fighting the division of large lots in Harahan by the Doucette family. Namely, Mr. Dana Doucette, his father, and his brother Dane. I've listened to Dane sit at my breakfast table at Colonial lamenting why no one really liked him and opposed his efforts to buy up large lots on our street that go from Colonial to OK and try to subdivide them into as many lots as he could get, name them 4. We have been here many times opposing this kind of subdivision and trying to preserve Harahan, its green space, its large lots, large oak trees, and the beauty that so many of us can enjoy and call home. At the last meeting here on this matter that I attended, I sat on the front row. Mr. Manzella sat down a ways from me, and Mr. Doucette was speaking out, Mr. Dane Doucette, and I leaned over to Tony and said, "Is he involved in this?" And he said, "Oh, no, 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 no." Well, in this lawsuit, Mr. Dane Doucette is mentioned not once but twice in negotiations concerning the colonial property. Ironic. Ironic. So, the last thing that I want to say is that I think there's going to be a lot of things coming from looking at this attached documentation. But clearly, Mr. Dane Doucette is involved and has been involved by Mr. Beekman's own lawsuit, which I have right here, which he signed and filed in October 2010. And so I think it's only fair that his daughter, who sits on this council, respectfully recuses herself from voting on this matter.
My name is Leonard Jager. I live at 107 Woodlawn, about 3 blocks from the club. I wasn't going to speak tonight. I was going to enjoy this, and I am enjoying it. You all look like very intelligent people that are running our government. And I just want to come to one conclusion. I'm not going to stay up here. The people I heard speak tonight were against this. I haven't heard anybody really say they were for this. I'm definitely against it. How many people are against this? Raise your hands. It looks to me like there's a majority of people in here that are very interested in what's going on, don't want this. You people can see that. I'm pretty sure you can. Can't y'all see this? I suggest you drop this whole matter and we'll all go home because you irritate us. The club is irritating us. We have a right to enjoy our life without this kind of thing coming in. The club tried to put a condo back of the levee. A group and I fought this, and we got this big condo dropped. This condo would have been HUD by now, and you wouldn't have a club anymore. So you ought to thank the citizens for keeping you all from building this condo. How many people are here for the club, for this commercial thing? Anybody? Raise your hands. Okay. I think y'all, did you see that, Mayor? Did you see the hands? All right. I think it's cut and dry, fellas. Let's go home. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, gentlemen, ladies, Charles Gudger, I live at 165 Glenwood Avenue. Our house is located at number 14, and actually with a project we will be definitely impacted. At the first meeting, we opposed the project, but after looking at the alternatives and our interest in hopefully doing what was right for the city, and by having additional income and saving 75% of the golf course of green space, and further keeping that 75% in perpetuity, was very interesting to us. We realize that a number of things have to be done, ordinances worked out, changes made to make this come to pass. We realize that we might suffer some property loss in the beginning, but we think that loss would come back after everything is settled and landscaping is in place. We can learn from history, I think. A number of years ago, we sunk the boat. It has been a tremendous income for the city of Harahan. And the people who sunk the boat were some of the first people on the bus going to the Gulf Coast. Speaking of the condo project, that would have saved 100% of the golf course. What would have happened then, I don't know. If the golf course fails, then we still have the green space, and that's what we're interested in, is saving the beauty of that area for the citizens of Harahan. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman, and all of our neighbors, my name is Tom Brandon. I am a Harahan resident, and I am a member of Colonial Country Club. The way I see this, it's all about saving the green space, and somebody has attempted to come up with options to do that. And so far, it appears that the option that's available to do that is not going to fly. Got to remember that this is still R1 designation as a zoning area, and if it has to go that way, it's going to go fast track with some developer, whether it's going to be Mr. Lauricella or somebody else. And it's possible you'll see streets go in there maybe by the end of this year, if that's what you want. And everybody will have a chance to buy a lot, build a house, erect a fence, and go about their business. But that's the way it's going to come down unless somebody else has another option as the way to save the green space of that club. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Last call. Madam Clerk, let's move on. Lawrence has
Make a motion to
motion
amend
to
the
suspend the rules. Second by Johnson. To go to the ordinance one for public hearing.
Following ordinance.
Wait a minute. All those in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays.
Following ordinance proposed by Councilman Landry and seconded by Councilman Johnson, an ordinance to amend ordinance 1333, section 11C-1 neighborhood commercial district, section B permitted uses. Whereas the Planning and Zoning Commission of the City of Harahan did recommend the said plan of change as indicated thereon, now therefore be ordained by the Council of the City of Harahan, State of Louisiana, acting as the governing authority of said city, that section 1, ordinance 1333, section 11C-1 neighborhood commercial, section B permitted uses to read as follows. 13, general retail establishment. 13A, repair establishment similar in character to those enumerated in this section, but occupying not more than 10,000 square feet in floor area. Section 2, the severability and repeal clause is referenced in ordinance 1566 is incorporated into this ordinance. This ordinance having been submitted to a vote, the vote thereon was as follows.
Before we open this up for a public hearing, is there any motions from anyone? Madam Clerk?
I'd like to still discuss it if I make a motion for something else. I have a good bit to say, so what, can we have discussions that move through, and at the end, if I decide to do something else with it, can that happen?
Sure.
Council?
Sure. I just want to give you the opportunity if anybody want to do anything.
I think everybody wants to discuss the issue, so let's.
Okay,
move along
open
with
for
it.
public hearing, anyone wish to address the council, welcome to do so.
I think we just talked about, I think that was the public hearing, but. What do you mean?
Gee, Madam
why we
Clerk,
moved it
we're
around.
having a public hearing on what Madam Clerk just read.
Well, we just. Well, it's basically everything we've been discussing for the first part of the meeting. We just moved it around so we can discuss it now.
No. With this one
Madam Clerk
is
just read an ordinance which is up for a public hearing this evening, which concerns to make a permitted use in C1 general retail establishment. Right.
as I read this ordinance, this is the one that's a change to C1 itself, not to the definition. It splits general retail out from repair establishments and has no size limit associated with general retail establishment, which at that point would create an unlimited, as some have said, retail establishment. The one thing I would like to find out is, how was this ordinance generated? Whose request it was? I understand this came from the administration, from the mayor's office, and was there an individual, an entity, a group, a property? And I guess I try not to keep coming back to Colonial, because every time I've asked questions, I've been told it's not about Colonial, although it is about Colonial, but it's not about Colonial. So let's...
All right. When I became mayor, I got a phone call from former Mayor Paul Johnson who said, look, I've been working in a drugstore on some property on St. Cyr Street and Jefferson Highway.
I know, the CVS that was...
Right. So this would allow for that. And that drugstore is still in communications with the administration for that piece of property. As of today, I had a discussion about that drugstore for that piece of property.
And would it be out of character to take that piece of property and rezone it to C2?
It is C2.
No, it is. That's my point. It currently has the zoning classification that will allow that to happen. This is affecting C1 neighborhood commercial district. Okay, that the CVS can go there fine. Now,
it might be my mistake, but I did see a drugstore in C2.
Make your changes to C2 then. Why? Make your changes to C2. You're changing C1 and telling me about a CVS to go in a C2 piece of property. Do you understand our confusion here, Mr. Mayor? It's confusing, to say the least, when this is the method that you use to change these things. Have Colonial come, present what they want to present, because when it's done this way, I'm scared of anything they're presenting, because already it's not starting off good. I have no warm and fuzzy about this. Present what's going to be presented. Nobody wants to see the club go away. But my God, we've had long enough to deal with this to understand that there's been so many entities involved in it that sometimes you don't get the straight facts from people involved in trying to save the club, because there are ulterior motives on the other side with certain individuals, not the members of the club that want to retain it as a golf course. God knows they want to save it. God knows the city wants to save the green space. We want it as a flood control mechanism. But unfortunately, when you go about it this way, there's too many bad things that can happen that start scaring people what's going to happen to their neighborhoods. And you have to understand that. And answers like, appliance stores and C1 is what people are upset about. Once again, don't give us a warm and fuzzy when it's not addressing what the real issue is. And let's talk about the elephant in the room. The fact is, Colonial's got some problems, have had some problems for years. I was on the council when the issues came up. I know that there are issues that need to be addressed over there. But let's don't burn down the city to save one property also. If it can't be managed in such a way that it can save itself through some other mechanism than putting a huge store in the middle of a beautiful neighborhood, then let's find a way to manage its demise in the most responsible way possible that won't affect the city. And I hate to be the one to have to say that, but nobody wants to say that. And if it has to be residential, it has to be residential. But don't do commercial at such a size that it destroys the character of the surrounding neighborhood, and also opens it up for other pieces of property to be developed in the same way. There are several pieces of property that certain developers are chomping at the bits to piggyback on this to do in other neighborhoods. So once it happens here, it's going to go there. And I really honestly believe that this could get passed and these things could happen, and it won't be in time to help Colonial, but it will be in time to help other developments in other areas of the city. So we will have shot ourselves in the foot, not accomplished anything over here, and still have to live with the remnants of bad legislation that was done without strong public input. There are so many steps that have to be done before you do this. How is this going to affect floodplain? How is it going to affect fire rating? How is it going to affect traffic? putting the cart before the horse. We have to look at these things, and apparently somebody knows what wants to go there, because I see a resolution that discusses a grocery store at 65,000. Now, that may not affect that one piece of property, but I think it may not be about Colonial, but it's about Colonial. So apparently CVS is not the only contender looking to go there. Now it's a grocery store. We don't know what to believe. Tell us, what is the plan? Are they looking at a grocery store, or do they just want to have unlimited anywhere between a repair shop and a nuclear waste disposal facility and just give them what they want? And I hate to get so emotional about it, but it's frustrating when you get so little information. And I know you have a lot of information. And we're just asking that as this comes to you, talk to us, talk to the public, talk to your council, because many of the council members had no idea what was happening with this, and they're getting blindsided. And it's frustrating. I've been there when you're dealing with this and you don't have the information to give to your constituents, because this is being done in negotiations between the mayor's office and an entity in the city, and the people that are getting cut out are the public and our council.
So far, we have not had any requests.
Then why are we changing the ordinance? If there's been no request, you say no official request, but that's disingenuous. Somebody has asked for something, because this just didn't come out of the sky, or did it?
Well, if you look at our C1 and C2, there's no, you have general retail. My perception would be a grocery store.
Sure.
Or a drugstore.
Or drugstore.
You have the property where the Burger King is.
Sure.
Which a store has, no, every day, not every day, but sometimes once or twice, 3 times every year, we get a call about a business. Property where the Burger King was. Can we put a grocery store there? Can we do this? Can we do that? And of course, you always tell them, you have to make an application. Well, they don't want to buy the place unless they have an idea of what they can put there.
I think Seisler tried for years to get a grocery to come right there where the Winn-Dixie used to be, and had trouble doing it. There are commercial properties available for a grocery store that wants to come here. Any grocery that would fit where the Burger King is will go over there, and I believe you could fit the size restriction listed currently in C1 on the Burger King property once you calculate in the required parking, which, unless we're going to build property line to property line and put cars into neighborhoods.
Well, we definitely would like to do something with the Burger King property.
Yes, okay, because we do have commercial, we have commercial that is available that isn't utilized. And without even, which brings another issue, before you start increasing dramatically the size limits in C1 and the structure of our commercial code, why don't you look at what our utilization of commercial is currently, and is there a need for additional commercial? I think we have a solution that's been formulated. Build a grocery store. Now, how do we get there? Without asking the question, should we? Should we be doing this? Is it feasible? And it's been concentrated on save the club, but it should be concentrating on how do we save the club without destroying the neighborhood. You shouldn't leave either one of those off. We don't want to throw Colonial to the wolves, but we don't want to live with something that's going to destroy our neighborhoods and our values to save that, because I don't believe that building residential structures on there will impact the values in a negative way. I think it will do nothing but enhance. And I think that the highest, best use of that property should be R1. There's no set of circumstances that I foresee that C1 is good for the neighborhood. It may be good for Colonial. Has anyone looked at what kind of money they're going to make off of the sale of this property? Will it be enough to reconfigure the golf course? Will we be right back in the same situation in another 5 or 10 years, and they come to us and say, well, we're going to need another 15? Okay? And that's a danger without fully looking at these things and saying, we have a solution, let's just get it done. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered.
I think everyone up here would like to do the golf course.
Yeah.
And we're looking for solutions and ideas, and if you have them, We've exhausted a lot. And maintain the gospel.
I think ultimately a lot of the problems were brought on by colonial management, obviously. And I understand that they need the city to help with this, but they got themselves in this position, and now they're asking us to burn down our houses to save theirs. And it's just, at this point, I've heard several times when I'm sitting on that council, if you don't vote for this tomorrow, the bulldozers are coming. That's 6, 7 years ago. If you don't vote, and how many times have we heard that? If you don't vote for this, screaming at this podium, that if we don't vote for what they wanted, bulldozers were coming the next day. Section 8 housing is coming the next day. Everything's gonna, the worst things in the world that can happen are gonna come the next day if we don't give them what we want. And we've been hearing that from the beginning. Well, how about offering some other alternatives? How about looking at how much money they can make off of selling lots on 15 acres, and let's see if that can get them out of their debt, and if they can work with the person that they owe the money to work some type of development. If they're gonna have to lose that anyway, then how about looking at what the residential structure would bring to them, and can it save the club and make it manageable? And if there's a delta between, or difference between what they make off of the property and what's owed, can they work out some kind of structure amongst their members to do some type of assessment over long term, to work out a payment structure for it, where they're taking on the responsibility of their debt? And no, we don't want to see homes in that property. I'd really rather not see homes. But from that point, I really don't want to see huge commercial development. And beyond that, I really don't want to see industrial. So, I mean, there's a schedule of things that you're willing to accept. And I think at the highest point, anybody's willing to accept is an R1 development. And have we explored that and the opportunity to save them? I met with colonial officials in 2001 and 2002. And the discussions were building townhomes on the area that they were going to put the condos in, because they were in financial trouble at that time. And I met with several officials from Colonial, and the discussion was, we can do enough townhomes in that back portion to get us out of our $1 or $1.2 million debt at the time. I said, absolutely. Let's sit down and talk. Let's go for it. The majority of the council said, yeah, let's sit down and talk. Townhome, back there, can get you out of debt, save the club, all for it. We don't hear a thing again until about 3 years later, when they're talking about a 150-story condominium building, and it will fund not only the debt, but a lazy river and this function and that function, and it will get them about 3 times what they owe so they can add up on a nice new thing. So it no longer became about getting them out of debt and saving the club. It became about the amenities that they can make with all the extra money by putting a tower up over there, no matter what it would do to affect the rest of the city, and the possibility that this council said that it could get halfway through construction and the bottom fall out of the real estate market. Now, we must have had some genies sitting up here, because lo and behold, what happens a few years later, the bottom falls out of the real estate market, and we may have wound up with a 15-story tall shell of a building. And apartment complexes, high-rise apartment complexes on Hickory Avenue. There are repercussions down the road beyond what you do. You can't save this entity and destroy the rest of the city. Let's find a way to save it without destroying the rest of the city, and if it can't happen to save it, let's manage the demise in such a way that it doesn't take the rest of us down with it. Thank you.
Quite sure everyone knows who I am. My name is A.J. Valeni. I have been a member of Colonial Country Club since whenever. Okay. When I first joined Colonial Country Club, it cost me $2,600 for a share of stock. Okay, $2,600. They came to us and said, "Look, we want to get everybody to turn in their stock. We're going to do this. We're going to do that." Absolutely, positively atrocious management. Okay? I don't blame the city of Harahan, the city of Colonial, which caused it. Okay? We're in a situation now where where we have no choice but to do whatever we can to get out of this problem, okay? By going in and having this country club divided up into a commercial area where the front of it, which incidentally is across the street from my house, which if you ever heard garbage trucks come in at 4 o'clock in the morning, they go beep, 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 okay? So I just want to get you all to understand my position, all right? We're in a situation over there that can be rectified, but if somebody would step up and say, look, you know, we're going to change this around, we're not going to put this, believe me, we got enough little shopping centers along Jefferson Highway to make us the shopping center of the world. I mean, you know, every 100 yards there's a shopping center, you know, and what you're going to put there, you're going to put a cement surface from Colonial Club all the way to the street, going all the way across. You're going to flood. I'm going to flood. You're going to flood. We're all going to flood, okay? I think that those people that sit on that council right there have the authority to say, gentlemen, you can't do this unless you give me some significant, absolute, positively proof that you're not going to flood my city of Harahan out, okay? And I'm going to tell you something. I've been out there when in real hard rains, and this is when they got ponds and stuff out there, when the water was so high you couldn't tell if there was a golf course there or if it was Lake Colonial, okay? So I want you to understand, I don't ask what happened to my $2,600 of stock. They asked us if we turned into stock, they were going to do this, do that, and the other. Poor management. Poor management to build that clubhouse that we have. The clubhouse we have is just absolutely not worth 1/3 of what we paid for it, okay? But what we can do, we can go out there and get this thing back on track, right? If we had some help, if the city wants to say, okay, we're going to give you some help, we're going to take this course. We're going to have a Harahan Country Club or Harahan Golf Course. Hey, that would be the best thing that could happen. New Orleans has municipal courses, 2 or 3 or 4 of them. We can't even get a half of one, okay? I'm going to tell you something, guys. If this thing slips away from us, if they put a shopping center in front of my house and across the front of Jefferson Highway, you know what? We're not going to be nothing but a bus stop. That's all we are. We're going to be nothing but a bus stop. You know, people are going to pass there and say, you know what? Wasn't there a golf course back there? Oh, that's right. You know, that's a bus stop now. You know, they got a cement corridor going across there. So I'm going to tell you, I'm at the point now, I fought this thing, and I'm about to give up, okay? I've been physically not able to handle this. I've been ill, and I'm at the point now, if I don't get some help from the rest of the people, you know, they can have it. Thank you.
I just want to say something real quick. I'm not privy to Colonial's finances or anything, but this weekend my wife and I, it's our 11-year anniversary, and I've been here probably about 10 years, and I live in the White House on Jefferson Highway. I'm smack and dab in the center. I'm the bus stop. But what I wanted to say was I went outside to look at my yard this morning, and I found one golf ball. When I met my wife 10 years ago, I would walk every afternoon. I would walk every afternoon and pick up golf balls. I would get a bucket of them a week, and I would take it to the driving range, and I would drive them. One golf ball is all I've seen in my house this year alone. One golf ball. People are not playing that course. When I'm outside, I've been building my house for a year now. When people I'm outside, I used to hear voices. I used to hear, whoa, whoa, watch out, whoa, and then you'd see the bounce across Jefferson Highway, and there the ball would go. I haven't seen that. I've been outside doing my house. I've never seen a ball come over, and I found one today after, what was it, 8 months into this year. So they just don't have the people to support this golf course, and I think if we give up Harahan to try and support the green space, and don't get me wrong, from my daughter's window, Colonial is beautiful. That is just absolutely gorgeous, the golf course from the second story. I would love to see that green. I don't want to see concrete there. but I don't think that Colonial can support itself, and I think that eventually we'll end up giving all of that up. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the council? Madam Clerk.
I'm probably the last one here to speak, so I'll make it short again. Can't you all see what's going on, council? Our elected representatives here that represent the cities, the citizens. Can't you see this? What is your interest in this, that you've got to work for this club? Now, you got people, and maybe I'm wrong because, you know, I'm not upper class as far as joining country clubs and such. But my idea was the people that joined country clubs had a lot of money. And I think y'all ought to work within your own funds. And you guys that might be millionaires, I mean, maybe I'm judging, maybe people are putting on, but take and dig deep in your pocket and pay your bills if you want that club. If you don't want it, don't bother the city. I mean, I live 3 blocks from you, and I appreciate the land over there, and I like to see all those trees. But you all want us to pay for your problems. Man, get out of town. Thank you.
I'll be brief, but Mr. Mayor, you said that give us some help. You know, we haven't had anybody approach. My son's an architect, and when he heard what was going on, he went and talked with the people involved and looked at their plans and everything. But he also went back to his architectural firm and spoke with some investors that were very eager to look at developing that property in a more gentle way for the city. They actually drew up some prototypes where they could divide just the center of the golf course into 100 by 150 foot lots, attract large homes, talking about larger homes, $300,000-$400,000 that would be attracted to that kind of development. Showed how many that could be developed there, and he had some investors that were very eager to begin. They were hesitant because of the things that they see going on here tonight. You know, some things that they were wondering what was the city doing and why would they approach the city or these people and expose themselves if there was underhanded things going on. So, you know, he reassured them, no, this was a genuine opportunity, and he's in law school right now, so I can talk with him later and see, you know, where it's gone. But there are people that would be willing to develop the center of the golf course, leave 9-hole golf course around that development so it would remain green space. It would attract new members to the country club because they would live there and want to belong to the country club and play the golf course. It wouldn't be 18 holes, but 9 holes would be sufficient and better than nothing. I think I say all of this because really all of the avenues have not been explored. And I know there's not much time left, but please, like Mr. St. Cyr said, don't burn down our city to support this project. Other things can be done. Thank you very much. And I ask you to vote no on this proposal.
Judy Johnson, Oak Street. Nowhere near the Colonial Country Club. But everybody enjoys the green space. My concern is the flooding. If 15 acres are paved, which it will have to be for parking, we will flood. The people on the south side of Jefferson Highway will flood horribly. This board, this council, does not have to change the zoning. It is zoned R1. You do not have to change this ordinance. That is your prerogative, not your God-given have to do it. So you make the decision for what these people want. We don't need this change. We don't want this change. The ordinance, the zoning ordinance was written many years ago, and as Brian said, many people had input. Many professionals had input. Mr. Villavasila, right here, from UNO, had input. They told us what we needed. We adopted it. I was on that board. We worked long, hard hours on that ordinance. Stop monkeying around with it. You are doing this, obviously. I'll wait because I do the minutes and I know I have to have that tape. Thank you, Margaret. To satisfy Colonial. Colonial is a private club. They got themselves into this mess. It is not a public club. We have no responsibility to the club. You have a responsibility to the citizens of this city. There is no infrastructure on that property. There are no water lines, there is no electric, there are no gas lines, there is no lighting, nothing. That's going to cost an awful lot of money, and it's going to cause an awful lot of damage. You have one road in, one road out. That's it, one road. You're talking about a multi-million-dollar grocery store, CVS complex, whatever. So you're talking about semis going down that street to get to it, to stock the store. You're talking about a lot of problems. This city can't even deal with Burger King and keep it clean and get rid of it. What happens if this property goes empty? What if the business fails because Harahan can't support it? Then what? Another Burger King? But 5 times, 6 times the size? Y'all better think long and hard. You were elected to protect this city and serve its citizens, not a private club. Please, do what you need to do. Turn this ordinance down. Leave the zoning ordinance alone. Okay? Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the council?
I want to let y'all pass this around. This is the FEMA flood zone for 48 and also the Zone X. Some of these people affected would change from an AE to maybe change to not be able to get flood insurance at all, and some people could be downgraded from X to AE. So you can pass that down.
One thing briefly. To the gentleman that talks about the one golf ball, there is numerous golfers with number 14. There are numerous golfers. Apparently they are. I have a bag full of golf balls, but we see numerous foursomes all the time, so you're not seeing through the trees. But as far as the buildings being built, commercial buildings, you can't depend on Harahan. Those buildings are going to draw people from all over. And that's where Harahan is going to gain from. Yes, it will. That's what we need to get revenue for our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Close the public hearing.
Right.
You want to make a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion by Landry, seconded by Bodie, to close the public hearing. All those in favor? Opposed by the discussion or motion?
I have discussion. Do you want me to go now? I'll be glad to go.
Who seconded?
It's your choice.
I'll go now. First, I apologize if I act a little lethargic today. I worked mainly outside, and the heat has gotten me. But I have quite a bit to say, so bear with me. A little history on myself real quick, because then there's going to be a point to this, and I'll discuss the ordinance next. I was born and raised in Harahan. It was I belong to the club. I love the club. I love Harahan more. For me to live on Colonial Country Club on Drive and belong to that club is absolutely a dream that I've always wanted, because I never thought I'd get there. And we were raised solid middle class. My father came to 58. So please know the love I have for our city. And my wife and I, and she came here tonight to support me, we have basically dedicated our whole adult life to Harahan. I'm in many organizations, Knights of Columbus, Dads Clubs, sat on the zoning board for 8 years. I want to get the point across that myself and this council, we are neighbors of you guys. And the reason I make this point, I have no problem with the debate. I can debate with the best of them, and I know zoning law pretty well. I sat many nights with Judy Johnson in the firehouse right in 1333. We used to meet 2 to 3 times a week and did it for quite some time. Now, but the things that have been said to me and to, I guess, many people, just the outright mean things. Guys, I mean, it's embarrassing. It really is. I mean, I don't mind debates, I don't mind talking, but just please remember that we are all neighbors and we're trying to work on a common problem. I've been looking at Colonial Country Club for 7 years, since the condo issue came up when I was on the zoning board. And the reason I ran for council was for the condo, because I thought it was just bizarre. And I was where you are on the condo issue. And yes, we did successfully beat it. Now, what is kind of ironic about that, or the people that are totally against this idea, was absolutely for the condo. I guess because I was in my backyard. I live on the other end of the street. So I mean, I understand your concerns. Now, this ordinance, now the way it works, I think most of y'all know that for an ordinance to come up, somebody's got to put their name on it. Now, I have never told anyone, except probably my wife, where I stand on this issue. I have stayed in the middle the whole time, which I think as a councilman we should. I have been accused of making backroom deals. Any business wants to talk to me about putting businesses in Harahan, I'm at their door. Any of you guys ever want to talk to me, and if you have called me and met with me and wanted to meet with me, I was there. There is a tremendous, we know Harahan's only 200 square miles, but there's people on 6th Street and Grove Street and many places in Harahan have no idea what's going on Colonial and Glenwood. Now, can a store help those people? Maybe so. Would I ever vote on something without a plan? Absolutely not. Now, Mr. Menzel and his wife, Melanie, are really good people. I know them well. Their son hangs out with my children. I mean, they're good people, and I think they're trying their best to do something. Now, Colonial, have we looked at issues with Colonial? Oh my God, we've looked at conservation easements. We sat down when Councilman Johnson was mayor with Aaron Broussard, all the big wigs in Jefferson Parish and the state to try to get it a public course. I know the trips made to Lafayette, there's 2 public courses there, and we thought we had a deal, and then I think we all know what happened in Jefferson Parish. Now, the parish shouldn't buy in Colonial. I don't think that's ever would happen. But if they did, or if they came over $1 million and we came over $1 million, which we don't have, Harahan cannot run a golf course. It can't happen. We can't do it. I mean, we don't have the money to operate it. We all pretty much know that golf courses really don't make any money. You need a country club to support them, and that's always been the case, not now, but for years. I mean, if you hopefully to break even on a golf course and make your money with the club. So, I mean, we have looked at many, many issues, and what got my ears up with this, when I spoke to Mr. Manzella, was that he was willing to give up the rest of the golf course forever. Now, I've spoken to many Colonial people, Now, let's say this is a completely new group at Colonial. The other group was the condo, so I think everybody knows that. Now, we've never had anybody from Colonial say they would do that. They all said they would put it at POR. And I think most of y'all, hopefully, POR is not sufficient enough to keep it forever, because another council 3 votes later can change it back to any zoning ordinance they want. My biggest worries with the property has always been Mr. Benzella and his family, Brantons and all, they just get frustrated and walk away. The Larcella family forecloses on the property, and it goes up to a sheriff sale, and we get a huge conglomerate come in and buy the property and outbid everybody. Now, I understand hanging your hat on FEMA's regulations, but these golf courses are being built on all over this country. Now, if they come in and say, we want to put, I don't know, whatever the number you want to call it, 100 houses, 150 houses, 200, whatever that number is, and we say no, 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 and they say, well, this is your subdivision ordinance right here, and we're going to follow every rule on it. We can say no all we want, and it's my opinion, and certainly not an attorney, I think we'd lose ultimately. Now, is the market there for homes? I don't think so, but will it be in 4 or 5 years? These big companies have plenty of money. They will sit on that property, and our law says the only thing they got to do is keep the grasses under 10 inches, or is it 8 inches, right around there. Now, that's not anything fantastic to have either, especially someone living there or close in proximity. It becomes a big mosquito fest. Is it too big? I think it probably is. Is there a solution somewhere else on a commercial? I don't know. A couple of years ago, you asked me if I want commercial. I would tell you absolutely not. I've done a lot of research in some things that have been done in Florida. One close to here is that one on David Drive. I think it's Animal Clinic right from Lafreniere. It's a beautiful strip mall. I mean, it really is. I mean, you can barely see what it is over the shrubbery and the waterfalls. So, I mean, that's how I got into this, and that's how I think all of us got into this. I mean, backroom deals is ridiculous. It just was something that somebody approaches with, and what are you looking at? What are you doing? Let's talk. Let's see what you got. What are the buffers? What is this and all that? Now, we haven't got to that point yet. I have not been able to get a seat with First Harvard, the company wants to develop. So, I mean, at this point, I really have nothing to look at. Now, as far as this ordinance is concerned, now, I'm going to need your help, Dave. I've got big concerns on this one, the one that we're getting ready to do something with tonight. Now, when this came up, we spent, got to be 30 minutes back and forth with what we were going to amend, what we wasn't going to amend, how was it going to play out, was this going to be first reading, was it not going to be first reading, when would the vote come? And I've watched it tape many times. Now, I'm told now it wasn't amended, it wasn't this. Now, not saying I'm for it or not, guys, I'm just looking at the procedure was taken, which I don't agree with. Now, whether I like this ordinance or not, my name's on it right there, Councilman Landry. Now, by law, that's my ordinance. Okay? This was thrown out or changed, never got a phone call. Not even one. To me, I think that's absurd. How can someone pull my ordinance, touch my ordinance, rewrite my ordinance without giving me a phone call? Or even say, look, this isn't working out properly. But we need to change this. What y'all did wasn't legal. You got to do that. That just is, I don't know how that happened. And correct me if I'm wrong, should have that happened? You're talking about the 75,000? Yes. Yeah, it should have been included. But it should have gone back to planning and zoning that way as well.
Actually discussing the ordinance that went to planning and zoning with
The
the
ordinance
definition.
went to planning and zoning. It came to us, the first reading. We amended it from the floor. That's not the same ordinance. Let's go here. But this is what I'm trying to get to, Bill. Now, the ordinance that we discussed for at least 30 minutes I think we're all aware which one we talked about. Where's that ordinance?
It's this one minus the amendment.
You see, if I'm confused, and I've been doing this for 11 years with zoning, 8 years, I don't know how anyone's
Can I
supposed to
interject
read
one
this.
thing?
Yes, sure.
What I believe occurred is that there was a discussion to amend the ordinance yet.
I remember it well, and I've watched it 5 times since then to see if I have my facts
75,000
straight.
feet.
Right.
And the discussion went on for about 30 minutes. And I'll take blame for this. I think we all share the blame. When you made the amendment, I should have said, Councilman Landry, where do you want to insert the word? You would have said, da-da-da-da-da-da. Then I was supposed to say to Madam Clerk, read the amendment. In the heat of what was going on, I let you do that. Yeah. I might be 90%, and I'm gonna put 10% loose to the attorney, because he didn't tell me, he didn't remind me to do that either.
To take a vote?
No, to say, Madam Clerk, read the amendment.
Yeah, well, here's the
Now,
bottom line.
But wait a minute. Now, then what happened, I'm out the loop too, apparently it went to Madam Clerk. She apparently, or somehow it got to Steve Valavasso. They drew up that ordinance that went to planning and zoning.
But not this one.
No, the definition.
The definition.
Right. Because
Okay, I have a couple
according
comments
to
on
the
that one,
man who really oversaw the whole code when it was being done, he thought it should have been done this way. But unbeknownst to any of us, who went to planning and zoning that way, and planning and zoning heard it without even having first reading or a...
I'd like to make some comments on that too. The planning and zoning meeting was embarrassing. I spent, like again, I'll tell you, 8 years on the planning and zoning board. And I don't think most of them on the zoning board knew what they were looking at. I felt horrible. And it made us look like a bunch of hillbillies. I didn't, and I mean, when up to 2.5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I would have bet we were voting on this ordinance this month, because that's what we discussed for 30 minutes. When was the first reading, when was the second reading? Now, then I found out, oh no, that ordinance doesn't work. So we changed that ordinance, and I came in and spoke to Madam Clerk, and she said, well, Lawrence, that one wasn't right, it wasn't done properly. I said, what do you mean? Okay. Do I get contacted for that? I mean, I know it happened to Cindy once before, 4 or 5 months ago, with the sewage ordinance. The law that this is mine and nobody touches it without talking to me. Is that the way that reads? Or am I reading it? Am I saying
And that's what I'm
something
telling you. This ordinance was not touched. I got a phone call from the city.
wrong? This is the same exact ordinance that we have on the books now.
Right. But your ordinance was not touched. The problem, I got a phone call after Ms. Margaret and Mr. Villabasso had spoken. Understood there was an issue with the failure to take a vote on this ordinance. The city planner perhaps came up with an alternative, and he was at the planning and zoning meeting. But this ordinance was not touched, and that's the problem. This ordinance, there was no vote, and I'd have to go back and look at the actual meeting itself, because the minutes aren't clear one way or other, although they don't reflect there was a vote. But y'all did talk about it for 30, 35 minutes. But if no vote was taken on that amendment, then this ordinance was never touched. So this ordinance has not been amended, and this is your ordinance.
This is what's written in the books now, though.
The other, no.
Except that he added a B.
Right.
I mean, the 13A.
Correct. So your ordinance was not touched. Now, who the author of the definitions ordinance is, I don't know.
And so that should have never went to planning and zoning without a...
No, that's actually the proper procedure, as you know. The ordinance, before it's first read, goes to planning and zoning. So that procedure was correct. The problem is your intent, and we talked about this, and mistakes happen. Okay, I'm not blaming anybody. But number one, there probably was not a vote, as I understand. I haven't gone back and looked to determine that. But even if there was one, the amendment was not inserted into your ordinance such that it had to go back before planning and zoning with that amendment. So this ordinance never went back, and that was my issue with it. And we talked about it. And I said, this ordinance right here needs to go back if there's going to be an amendment to it.
And was the definition ordinance advertised, or was this advertised again to go to planning and zoning?
I don't
The
know the answer to
definition
that.
ordinance was advertised.
It was advertised.
May I interject?
Let me, well, yeah, I'm just,
Just one second. I do remember asking, and I have looked at the tape, and if you recall, I think I had asked, what are we voting on? Do we vote on this as amended? And someone spoke up and said, we're voting on the ordinance as amended. So we made
Right.
the vote for the amended.
I think
but
that
the-
happened, but I don't,
but
I'd
the
have to go back and watch it.
The amended ordinance, adding 75,000
Didn't go back to
square
planning and
feet,
zoning.
did not
Right.
go back to planning and zoning.
That's my thought.
Like we, as a council, approved it. In fact, everybody
And that's
looked
what I was
at me
getting ready to
because I
say.
was so adamant about not having 75,000 square feet.
So the
I
bottom
wanted to
line-
go back to planning and zoning
The
because I
bottom
think it
line
needed due
is,
process.
irrespective of whether there was or was not a vote, this ordinance did not go back
That is
to
correct.
planning and zoning as amended.
That's correct.
well, this is,
Mayor, can I make one comment?
certainly, I'm sure everybody
Okay,
wants to make
so,
discussions.
One more
But
question.
just,
Oh.
what's the way to get rid of, since this has been advertised then, is the best legal way to table it or pull it? Because I really am, don't want, going with this, I just
mean,
don't believe this was handled.
You can withdraw it or table.
What's,
If
I'm
you
asking your
table it, it
opinion,
goes
Councilman.
away until you have a majority vote to bring it back up. Or if you withdraw it, then you start over.
Well, that depends, I mean, I'll make, you want to do your discussion first, or once I make
Sure.
a deal, then it's going to be over with, they can't discuss it?
I have a quick question. Not one city employee thought to call Councilman Landry and say, did you amend your ordinance? Would you like to advertise it? Would you like it to go to plan and zoning? Instead of someone taking upon themselves to rewrite another ordinance with a definition, and nobody wanted to call that to anyone's attention on the council.
Well, the thing is that most of the time when we sponsor ordinance, it's a courteous sponsor. It's go, okay, guys,
Right.
let's take a look at it. It makes me leery to sponsor stuff if I'm not going to be kept on board the whole way through. And I'm not blaming anybody. I just saw it was a breakdown in the system that needs to be corrected.
Yeah, I
And
don't
I
know
know
if
what we
anybody
discussed.
sponsored.
I mean, there's not a doubt in my mind what we discussed that time. I'd like to pull the ordinance, is what I'd like to
Well,
do.
you have to move.
Maybe we'll discuss.
Let's go on with discussion before we do that. Councilman Rodeo?
No discussion. When we had this meeting on this ordinance, I was not in favor of, it's number 13, a general retail establishment, there's no limit in it. Councilman Murray, she brought that up, and I was all behind her 100%. And I just feel that this thing needs to be pulled, as Councilman Landry did. Since I'm the second on here to put it forward as a courtesy, I second his withdrawal.
It's probably time that the council look at the zoning ordinance and closer, maybe revise it. This ordinance is the current law of the city. And the only square footage in C1 is general retail. The only square footage in C2 is general retail. To me, we ought to, like Jefferson Parish apparently did, they put a limit on everything. But looking at these two ordinances the way they're written now, and trying to see if we could put a drugstore somewhere in Harahan, even if we put it in C2, it's under the 10,000 square feet restriction. So the ordinance that is up this evening removed that restriction, but it doesn't remove the fact that somebody makes an application for a drugstore, and it's 150 square feet, councilman has to vote for it. I mean, it's like, we don't have to approve it, but I'm of the opinion that the majority of people would prefer having each and every item restricted. So that's probably where we need to go. All right? But you have to understand, when you have no restriction, and you're trying to bring in a business, because, as we all know, we like the quality of life in Harahan. If we could fit a drugstore somewhere where everybody's happy, that's what we want to do. If we can fit in a new restaurant, whatever we can fit in, that's what we want to do. So, the only other thing is the mayor doesn't get to vote on ordinance. The council basically, the ordinances that flow between the council and the city are really, for the most part, handled by the municipal clerk. She's the municipal clerk of the city, and, you know, when you have ordinances, they go back and forth. This particular situation, I think our municipal clerk did the right thing. She called the author of basically this entire zoning ordinance, the man that put it together. And I think he tried to do the right thing by saying, really, we should have called you and said, we shouldn't do it this way. We got to do it this way. Apparently that phone call didn't happen. But he put it into play the way that he thought it should fit into our ordinance. We all found out about it basically at the same time. And we're stuck this evening with the procedure that occurred that brought us here. So in the future, I'm sure we learn from our mistakes. At the same time, I think everyone here is going to be responsible to try and ensure that their ordinance goes to where it's supposed to go in a timely manner.
Mayor had mentioned about the CVS coming here, and when I was mayor, I was in negotiations with CVS to move to the city, and it was basically close to being a done deal. We had all this property on the corner next door, from where we own the property, on the other side of the parking lot, to the corner, from Jefferson Highway to Hickory. We had gotten with the state to do a study on putting a red light there, and it seemed to me I was being told that it was basically moving forward and looked good, that we were going to get a CVS next door. All of a sudden I get a call from the developer or the real estate company that was handling it, telling me that the deal was no longer there. And then I come to find out they wanted to move the CVS over to the Colonial Country Club, which is a better site because it's right in the middle of the city. But we did have this thing rolling with the CVS, and we lost it because they felt it was a better site over there by the Colonial Country Club. I'd have loved to have it right next door by City Hall. I think it'd been a beautiful addition to our downtown Harahan, which is this area.
Councilman Johnson, can I just add one thing from Councilman Johnson? You know, it was said earlier that we have a glut of commercial property, and I think the lady that says it, that said that she knows what's going on with Burger King. The gentleman that offers the family has gotten many solid offers on that property. I mean, there are a lot of people who want to put stuff there, many people. And the city of Harahan has done everything we could to try to make it happen. So please don't think people don't want to come here. They do. But if you can't negotiate with the owner, then it is his property. You know, I've heard people do the eminent domain. I am so far against that, it's not even funny. I mean, if an interstate's got to go through, that's one thing, but it takes somebody's property to put a grocery there or something, that's completely different. It is his property. So please don't think we've met that, I don't know how many times the mayor's met with him. I know I've met with him 3 or 4 times. So it's been, they are people that commercial, and I don't want to be on television that people don't want to come here. There are commercial businesses that want to come here all the time. I mean, and we try to certainly attract them. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, I have a few things to say. I just want to tell you that I ran for office because I wanted to support my city and listen to the citizens. I would never make a decision that wasn't best for the city of Harahan. We are going to weigh all the pros and cons. We are going to do our homework. We hear you. We're listening. We are not trying to make quick decisions. We are not trying to pull the wool over your eyes. That is not what we intend. I didn't walk this city for 4 months in 110-degree weather, knocking every door to
to get your vote because I wanted to pull the wool over your eyes. I'm going to say one other thing. My maiden name, I'm very proud of it. Because my maiden name is Doucette, that doesn't mean that I would do something wrong to this city. My name now is Dana Hewitt. I ran as a councilwoman. I'm supporting you. I'm going to remove my maiden name. It has nothing to do with my vote. My vote is for you, to do the right thing for you. And please, with all sincerity, I hold myself with high ethics and morals, and I would always make the proper decision. I've talked to all the other councilmen this week about this ordinance. If you're confused, we're more confused. We have two ordinances on the table and a resolution. We're all thinking to ourselves, what is going on? I'm glad that Councilman Lawrence wants to table it and pull it. We have to do it the right way. We want to do things above board. What we're here to do.
Thank you very much. I have a couple of things to start off with. I have to disagree with a couple of things that have been said. One was that there were no, and you might have not looked in GEO or H1, but in several different entities of our zoning districts, we do have maximums in either office, general space, professional, which is actually, by the way, where there is a number 5 permitted use of pharmacies, drugstores, banks, flower shops, homesteads, and retail shopping, fencing, medicine, and surgical supplies. And that was number 5 of permitted use. Number 6 is office, general, and professional, not to exceed 25,000 square feet of gross floor space. And they always have in either H1, which is that, GO, C1, C2, and I think LI, light industrial. There is always a maximum, and I don't know why. It's in all the other different ones that I have, and the different zoning ordinances that I've looked at. There is always a maximum on office, general, and retail. Don't know why, but there is. I did a lot of work on our planning ordinance and zoning ordinance. I was on it for 8 years with also Councilman Landry. We worked feverishly on it for many, many years. We studied, we listened, we interjected, changed our minds. If somebody came up with a different area and went, oh, we haven't looked at that. That's good. I like that. I think that would be good. Then we went back out to our constituents and said, what do you think about this change? And we got information back. We have never done anything, I have never done anything, without study. To change this ordinance, and I'm talking about this one, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, because he's asked to change it and we've got it, and I would assume it's going to be changed. God forbid it does, or be pulled, I should say. I think there needs to be more study done on it. This is too vast of a change for all of Harahan, all 2.4 square miles of it. Any piece of property that is C1. In my research, in my investigation with the planning and the zoning ordinances for Kenner, Orleans, Jefferson, Gretna, West Vigo, they all were either 25,000 or 12% of the maximum area, and that was Jefferson, which was the highest. The rest of them had 4,500 square feet, 5,000 square feet, 7,500. We were one of the biggest with 10,000 in C1. A piece of property that is 65 or 75,000 square feet of retail floor space does not belong in a C1 district. It belongs in, probably for us, its own district, because it is too large. It is called a big box district in looking up. Big box. This is a big box store. 75,000 square feet of floor space. That is the size of Winn-Dixie. Winn-Dixie's approximately between 76 and 78,000 square feet. That is 2 pieces of the entire Colonial Manor shopping center, almost 2, that size of that. It doesn't belong in C1. C1 is neighborhood commercial, neighborhood, small. By definition, it is for small areas, not large, big box. I'm very, very opposed to anything of that large. This piece of property in the White Elephant that we're talking about in the room wants 15 acres. Jefferson, by ordinance, doesn't want anything higher than 10 acres in C1. And they are, once again, they have a higher restriction. Somebody's asking, supposedly there is a proposed of possibly a 15 acres. I have looked and I have researched all possible areas as far as FEMA goes, our flood mitigation plan, and yes, I hang my hat on part of FEMA, because that is a ponding area, the White Elephant in the Room, Colonial Country Club, which is why this is being proposed. Because it was asked of someone to do, as my understanding is. I am adamantly opposed to zoning for dollars, and that's what this is. It is lightning restriction for dollars. It will ruin our neighborhoods. It will ruin our comfy, cozy, wonderful 95% of R1 property that we have here in Harahan. That's why we live here. Don't ask anybody if they live here and ask what they say. Do I live here for Colonial, or do I live here because I have low crime? I have great neighbors. My family's been here 4 or 5 generations. I know when I come home, 99% of the time, that I'm going to see a bunch of neighbors and, hi, how you doing? Nice to see you. Oh, how are things going? Can't talk about anybody in Harahan because you're talking about their mother, their brother, their sister, their aunt, their uncle, their cousin. We're all related here. If not by blood, we're related here because we all believe in the same thing. Difference of opinion sometimes, but nonetheless, our main goal is for good quality. That's what we have here in Harahan. I firmly believe that for all of Harahan, if you take away the maximum allowable floor space on a retail, open the floodgates for anything to happen in there. I'm very happy that Councilman Landry is going to pull. There's also another ordinance for first reading tonight, and there's a resolution that I just don't understand. I've talked with Councilman Bodier about it, and it broke me. I don't understand why it's here. Nothing against Councilman Bodier, but I know he's got in his heart he's trying to help things, and we all may have a difference of opinion. My opinion is this does not help Harahan, and if we will lose our quality of life if we allow any place in Harahan to have a limitless amount and be able to have large big box resident retail function. But that's what I have to say about it.
Motion by Councilman Landry, second by Councilman Johnston,
Said either one, both is fine with me.
to withdraw. All those in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? 5 yeas. Madam Clerk, can you go back up a minute?
Yes, sir.
The council meeting of July 21st.
Motion to suspend the reading.
Motion by Johnson, seconded by Murray. All those in favor? Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays. Motion by Johnson to confirm the approval of the minutes. Second by Murray. All those in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays. Madam Clerk, communications, Board of Adjustment, motion by Johnson, second by Bodier. Dispense with the reading. All those in favor? Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays. Approval of the minutes of the Board of Adjustment, motion by Bodier, second by Johnson. All those in favor? Any opposed? 4 yeas. 4 yeas, no nays, 1 temporary absence. Reading of the minutes of Planning and Zoning Board. Do we have those?
Yes, we do.
Motion by Murray, second by Hewitt. All to dispense with the reading. All those in favor? Any opposed? 5 yeas. 4 yeas, no nays, 1 temporary absence. And the approval of those minutes by Murray, second by Hewitt. All those in favor? Any opposed? 4 yeas, no nays, 1 temporary absence. Next, we have resolutions, the local government assistance. That's for the court software.
Yes, yes, sir. These
Right.
are the rural community development grants, okay? It said on a unanimous motion, if it's agreeable with the council, we'll do it unanimously.
It's gotta be 4.
Can we ask, Councilman Schlann to come back in for unanimous, if possible?
Recess.
Can we take a quick recess?
Quick recess.
5 minutes?
Yes.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
You don't need one for
Yay.
recess.
Recess.
Make sure we vote.
Huh? Mayor,
Have resolutions, but you want to continue with the ordinances?
No,
Okay, you want to go with the resolutions? First resolution is, if it's agreeable with the council, will be unanimously. On a unanimous motion of the council of the city of Harahan, the following resolution was adopted. Whereas a rural community in the state of Louisiana may apply individually for the local government assistance program, whereas cooperation is required between all government offices, mainly mayor, city council, state representative, and state senator. Whereas based on Louisiana legislative appropriations, the city of Harahan can apply for funding grants from the state of Louisiana Local Government Assistance Program Office. Now therefore be resolved by the council of the city of Harahan, with the approval and consent of the mayor as the governing body for the city of Harahan, that a local government assistance program packet is submitted to the state of Louisiana to purchase additional hardware, software, training, installation, and implementation of the software for the city of Harahan Court. Be it further resolved that the city council of the city of Harahan requests State Representative Kirk Talbot and State Senator Daniel Martini support this grant request on behalf of the city of Harahan in the form of a letter to the local government assistant office indicating their support. The mayor and the city council for the city of Harahan specifically lobby Representative Kirk Talbot and Senator Danny Martini for their support in this grant application. Both the mayor and the city council acknowledge the support of Representative Talbot and Senator Martini in the past concerning such requests. Wherefore, the council of the city of Harahan votes to approve the application of the city of Harahan for a local government assistance program grant as filed by the mayor of the city of Harahan to the state of Louisiana for a grant to purchase additional hardware, software, training, installation, and implementation of this software for the city of Harahan Court. Wherefore, the council of the city of Harahan specifically requests the mayor of the city of Harahan to apply for the local government assistance grant program for the court office for the city of Harahan in the amount of $30,000 from the local government assistance program. Wherefore, the council of the city of Harahan requests that the mayor of the city of Harahan apply for this local government assistance program to purchase software, training, and implementation of this software for the city of Harahan. The foregoing resolution was read in full. The roll was called on the adoption thereof and resulted as follows.
All right, before I call for the vote, Madam Clerk, is there any, do you know if there's any prohibition of the city matching this $30,000?
You can put whatever you want with it, Mayor.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays. Next, Madam Clerk.
On a unanimous motion of the council of the city of Harahan, the following resolution was adopted. Whereas the rural community within the state of Louisiana applies individually for the local government assistance program, whereas cooperation is required between all government offices, namely mayor, city council, state representative, and state senator, whereas based on the Louisiana legislative appropriation, the City of Harahan can apply for funding grant from the State of Louisiana Local Government Assistance Program Office. Now therefore be resolved by the Council of the City of Harahan with the approval and consent of the mayor as the governing body for the City of Harahan that a local government assistance packet is submitted to the State of Louisiana to purchase a submersible hydromatic pump for lift station number 8. Be it further resolved that the City of Harahan, that the City Council of the City of Harahan requests State Representative Kirk Talbot and State Senator Danny Martini support this grant request on behalf of the City of Harahan in the form of a letter to the Local Government Assistant Office indicating their support. The Mayor and the City Council for the City of Harahan specifically lobby Representative Kirk Talbot and Senator Daniel Martini for their support in this grant application. Both the Mayor and the City Council acknowledge the support of Representative Talbot and Senator Martini in the past concerning such requests. Wherefore, the Council of the City of Harahan votes to approve the application of the City of Harahan for the Local Government Assistance Program grant as filed by the Mayor of the City of Harahan to the State of Louisiana for a grant to purchase a submersible hydromatic pump for lift station number 8. Wherefore, the Council of the City of Harahan specifically requests the Mayor of the City of Harahan apply the local government grant for the storage department of the City of Harahan in the amount of $20,000 from the Local Government Assistance Program. Wherefore, the Council of the City of Harahan requests that the Mayor of the City apply for this local government assistance program to purchase a submersible hydromatic pump for lift station 8. The foregoing resolution was read in full. The roll was called on the adoption thereof and resulted as follows.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? 5 ayes, no nays, Madam Clerk.
The following resolution was proposed by Councilman Bodier of the City of Harahan. Do you want a second on this, Mayor, or not? Mayor, do you
What?
want a second on this one or not? This resolution?
Second. Do it.
A resolution creating certain departments within the City of Harahan pursuant to Louisiana Revised Statute 33-362C. Whereas the mayor has submitted a written recommendation to the Harahan City Council to create 4 departments, namely maintenance, recreation, regulatory, and fire departments within the City of Harahan. Now therefore be resolved by the Council of the City of Harahan, State of Louisiana, that Section 1 there be created in the City of Harahan and the following departments pursuant to Louisiana Revised Statute 33-362C. Maintenance Department, Recreation Department, Regulatory Department, Fire Department. The foregoing resolution was read in full. The roll was called on the adoption thereof and resulted as follows.
Discussion?
I'd like to ask the city attorney to explain this to me, because I want to make sure we can do it by resolution. I thought you have to do it by ordinance. To explain it.
Yeah, I think you're ultimately going to have to. The law changed, and I don't have the exact date. Yeah, it's probably 1986. I know it was in the 80s. But the law requires that the mayor submit a written recommendation to you guys if he wants to create departments within the city area.
Mike, I need to ask this question. Doesn't the Lawson Act, or doesn't that create department heads, or just creates your job, the
Well,
magistrate?
this is in the Lawson Act, actually, 33-362. Yeah, Title 33.
It's in the Larson Act, but we've never adopted it?
You don't have to. You don't have to do
Okay,
it.
so
It's not
actually
mandatory.
at this point in time, we've never adopted it, and what we're trying to
Well,
put forward.
we had the recent issue, I guess is why it's coming up now, as to whether or not we have department heads in the city of Harahan.
Well, I have a question. Haven't we been for the last 25, 35 years? Haven't we been doing these department heads?
Yeah, but the law changed in 1985. But we've been
Wait,
doing
I don't-
we've been
who year-
doing it
I don't
since
think it's
before
85.
1985.
It was in the 80s.
2005.
No, I think it was in the 80s.
We've been doing it wrong.
So,
Well, but who are you appointing as department heads? I don't think you guys are appointing.
yes,
The council approved.
the
Certain
council
people
has been doing that.
Certain people, but not everyone.
All
We have-
departments are supposed to.
Yes,
The mayor has
Since 1985,
Right.
on the written recommendation of the mayor.
by mere virtue of the fact that we have been having a department head for recreation, department head for regulatory.
Well, look,
We did,
Councilman, this isn't mandatory, you do what you want, but
I mean-
the request, I think, is coming from the mayor or whoever sponsored it, but you don't have to do it, it's not
I
mandatory.
guess we're just trying to understand it. I
Yeah.
guess my point is that
Well,
wouldn't we
look-
just be grandfathered in because we've been
No,
doing
you're
it all
not.
this time?
Not grandfather, the law
You're not
changed,
grandfathered in.
and we just didn't pay attention to the new law.
You're not
We've
grandfathered
been
in.
doing this since, and it next question is.
But you could appoint me to be head of grass cutting, and there's no department, it doesn't matter. You have to have a department established under this statute.
Well, if that's the case, why isn't there a payroll and human resources department? Why isn't there?
Because I haven't asked for it.
a
The only way you can
accounting
create a
department?
department is on the written recommendation of the mayor.
Well, let me ask you this.
And I wrote you all that written recommendation.
Well, let me ask you this. I guess I'm confused because we've had these departments all these years.
Sure, but we didn't, and the law changed, and we never followed the new law.
That doesn't
So
mean
I'd like to follow the new law.
I mean, if you're doing it wrong, if you're doing it right, I
The
mean.
new law is 25 years old.
I just found that we were doing it wrong.
The new law is
Like I
25
said,
years
my
old.
understanding is this came up as a result of the recent issues.
I found it as a result of
What's
recent
the issue
issues.
we raised?
About
No, the
department
issue
heads.
with the regulatory
About
director.
department heads.
Of third-party provider.
Correct. I mean,
So if we create, let's use regulatory since obviously it is an issue.
Right.
Why are we, if, once we create this department, do we have to create a department head, don't we?
I will probably submit names for the department head. Sure.
I think it's gonna change, I think it's gonna raise some issues.
Right, because, I mean, before we do
But
this
under the law right
resolution-
now, I mean, we don't need to get into it and hash it out again, because I think we already did that. But even if you have a regulatory department, if certain procedures are followed, you can have a third-party administrator.
Well,
You're just establishing a department, if certain things are followed.
However, Attorney General's opinion is our council approval.
If certain procedures are followed.
Council approval.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There are procedures that need to be followed. I'm not saying I'm not giving any examples. I'm saying that if you follow the rules and the procedures, then you can have that situation. You can have that scenario. So what I'm saying to Council Lady Murray's question is, it's not absolute that you have to appoint someone.
I pack it up one Sunday afternoon, and really, if I had a chance to come in and speak to the mayor, I would respectfully ask, hey, if we could just, month, we have to do it.
I'd like
We
to
look
get-
at it a little bit, because I really have, I'm stunned that it hadn't been looked at since '85.
I would definitely like to talk to council and, and get a much, much better understanding of why we're doing this.
Well,
I couldn't
we're
answer
doing
that
that at the
question.
mayor's request. Can we read the statute?
We could talk about it all you want. I don't know the answer to that question.
Can the city attorney read the statute?
I don't have it in front of me.
There you go.
We trust you, really, just read it.
We
We
trust
trust you, just read it.
The statute, it's one of the few statutes that gives the mayor some power. And I choose to exercise the power by making four departments.
That's it. I have no problem creating the departments, but I like to do it by ordinance. It's law, not by resolution is just,
Recommendation.
Well,
Basic.
I'd rather do it by ordinance.
the last time the city did it, they did it by resolution.
Right.
I agree that it should be.
You don't want me to read it to you, just so you know.
Yes, please.
It's subsection 3C under section 362. It says any department of a municipality other than a police department in a municipality with an elected chief of police shall be created, abolished,
Shall,
merged.
right?
Yeah, shall be created, abolished, merged, or consolidated by the Board of Aldermen, in our case, council, city council, upon written recommendation of the mayor. It was amended in 1997. It passed in 1985, became effective January 1, 86. I don't have Acts 1997 number 441 in front of me, so I don't know what exactly that changed, but it's as recent as 97 initially, effective in 86. Yeah, Acts 1997 441, section 1. Correct.
I have no problem with creating
She's giving it.
department heads, but I like to do it by
Can we do it by resolution for that one?
It's fine.
I would ask you to do it by resolution, I'll submit an ordinance.
This is, your resolution, as I understand, is to create it, but to formalize everything, you have to do ordinance.
I guess for lack of better articulation, what I'm asking for is create, if this is approved, then we do the ordinance.
So this is proceed. Well, we just, the last mayor, so. I mean, he's doing it 8 years, he didn't see it either, during my 8 years.
Oh, I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'm just saying, if it's been like that since '85, is another month going to kill us?
No,
No.
what we're asking for is a resolution.
I mean, I really just don't. I'd like to read these statutes and see.
What we're asking for is a resolution.
Procedure, do a resolution first. and then
Oh, you need a
do
resolution from us to
but
even
that
write the
doesn't-
ordinance?
That's not what it
Oh.
says.
That's what Dave was saying.
That's not what this was.
No, no, I'm
That's not
saying
what
that's
this
what his
says.
request is.
Says it to create departments.
It's asking to create departments by resolution, not asking to create the departments by resolution so that I can turn right back around and do an ordinance tomorrow.
That's my intention.
I'd rather,
Just write the ordinance.
I'd rather
Yeah,
get
that's-
it
that's
right the first time.
Start off. I really did the resolution because when I researched the old way we did it, they did it by resolution.
I think
That was, Freddie Wilcox listening.
The issue,
But I'm
the issue with the
thinking
resolution is doesn't have to force it all.
Duran,
But here's the other problem. You're only doing.
But I would have jacked up Camaro, man. I mean.
What about?
The issue is that the resolution wasn't right.
Yeah, but how we doing the choice?
Yeah, don't do it like
Well, I think you need to add some more choices.
I'll be
I
happy
would-
to talk to you about it.
Okay, because I think this is an incomplete choice. Because we definitely do have more,
But we don't have any other really departments.
we have a county department.
We never have done those before.
Well, wait,
These are the ones we've always done.
wait.
These are the only
If we,
departments
wait a
we've
minute,
had.
if we don't have a county department, why is there a sign back there that says accountant?
Because
know where
it
they
shows
going.
people where to go for accounting.
So is there a department?
No, we don't have a department head for accounting.
I think you gotta look at things that fall, I mean, everything's under the.
Accounting's
purview of
not in
the
a lot of.
Yeah, we've never had a department head for a county.
I mean, it's- yeah.
if I'm, correct me, Madam Clerk is over the finance of the city.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So the accounting falls on the Madam Clerk.
Right.
Correct.
So that's the ball
And that's-
right there.
That's why I was saying, it depends on whose purview it falls on. She's the city clerk is bonded for that.
Mayor, I know you follow the procedure that's been done in the past by resolution. I know you just follow what's done, but I think the majority of the council, in fact, I think everybody here would rather see an ordinance next month. We can do that. But I'd like maybe pull this.
Well, that's up to
Go ahead.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Discussion is, I'd like to see more departments, I think.
Well, you see,
I don't know-
the Larson Act lists the departments, does it not?
Those are the four departments?
Right.
And, but they list those the ones you're supposed to have, not the ones that you can have, is no problem.
But
You
as
can
mayor,
have more departments.
as mayor, I'm allowed to decide what departments I want.
Now, what they mandate.
But these are
is
the
not-
departments that the Lawson Act is put in the book, right?
In other words,
But I think since the Larson Act is so old, it maybe is incomplete, because nowadays, large cities have an IT department.
and I agree with you 100%.
Million or
but
less.
it's a choice of the mayor. Now, I'll let you lobby me, and maybe we'll come up with
I'll
another
lobby you.
department. But if
Okay.
I don't agree with you, then you have to wait.
We'll have to wait and see how it goes. On both sides.
Why can't we just take this?
I'm only
and
establishing departments
change it to
that
an
are
ordinance
named
creating certain
in the
functions in the city of Harahan, so
The Larson Act is very
and read
old,
the
I
first
think that it
read.
needs to be updated.
It's something that I
We gotta do that, to
So
Church
we'll talk
Talbot.
about that later.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That is to go
It's
through
going to
church.
Kirk, that's correct. Thank you.
Motion
Are we
to-
pulling this motion to pull?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Withdraw.
Motion to withdraw, second.
And we need to call for
I need a
vote on
vote
that.
to withdraw
All those in
that.
favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? Five ayes, no nays. Madam Clerk?
Okay, this is the fourth. The following resolution was offered by Councilman Bodier and seconded.
Can we withdraw?
I'm sorry.
Withdraw before you read through?
That's fine.
Well, we don't start a whole room of
You wanna
controversy,
withdraw it before
conversation.
we leave it
Yeah,
on?
sure, yeah.
I just want a couple of things I want to say just real quick. I really wanted to mess with Patty back there because I've been knowing her pretty much my whole life. But I just want to let everybody know I am pro-business. I own my own business. I've been having it for 23 years. I do want to see this city move forward. I'd like to go back to the drawing board. I will have an open ear to Colonial at all times, as well as the citizens here. I'm here to represent y'all. That's why I ran to do this. But I've been pro green space since the first day I've ever ran, from the first time I lost to the second 2 times I won. And I want you guys to know that I'll always have an ear open to them as well as y'all. But I do think there can be a common ground. And Brian threw out a good couple of things tonight. I really look to him for some mentorship. He's a real good guy. Though we hardly ever agree, he's right a lot of the times. And I just want to kind of let y'all know where I stand on that. And if any of y'all ever want to talk to me, scream, holler, yell, I don't really care. I can take it. So I'll leave my phone number at the end of this, and y'all can pick it up, and I'll always leave you my cell, and I'll always answer it 24/7. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask Attorney one question on this? I looked at this last night, I heard it again tonight, detrimental reliance. Is that a plausible case by someone?
In what context?
In this context. If a government body like us passes a resolution like this saying we for it, they go ahead and buy the property, we vote against it, that put the city liable.
I mean, it's certainly an issue. I mean, I wouldn't sit here and make a legal conclusion for you, but, you know, it's certainly a viable legal theory under Louisiana law and general common law. I mean, it's something that's derived from the common law. It's been applied in Louisiana.
Thank you.
I need a second there to withdraw. Johnson,
Already voted.
and I need a vote to withdraw. I need the vote.
All those in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? Okay, Madam Clerk?
We're going back to the second resolution.
No, we're going back to the ordinance now.
Yeah, I mean to the second ordinance, Mayor. And this is the one that we still don't have the amounts for the streets because of Jefferson Parish's new contract. We need a
What is
motion.
this now?
This is the one for the streets, Mayor.
Oh, we don't have the price.
We don't have the prices yet, so we need a motion to defer for at least 60 days, please.
Motion, wait a minute. Is it for 60 days?
Right.
Yeah.
By Murray, second by Boudier, all those in favor? Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays.
She can defer my ordinance too? Isn't that mine?
Yeah, let me read yours. It was the.
Yes, I can.
Huh?
Yes, I can.
motion, but you can tell you. Oh, I just got to the page, all right.
I'm just trying to move it along, babe. You're
Okay.
slow right now. You're burnt out.
All
I
right.
just got my second win.
Second by Boudier, we need a vote to defer for 2 months, for 60 days. It was a motion by Murray and seconded by Boudier to defer for 60 days.
All those in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays.
This is the third one. This is the one that has to go back to planning and zoning to be heard.
Motion to
Motion to
defer.
That's yours. That's yours, Councilman Murray.
You missed it.
I got the draw on you.
No, you didn't.
I need a motion to send it back to planning and zoning is what I need.
Wait a minute.
I have a quick
City
question.
Attorney, how do we do this?
Yeah. Here.
It has been read by
For
first
first
reading
reading.
only all this time, because we chose to defer it until it went back to planning and zoning, or went to planning and zoning. And if, correct me if I'm wrong,
It's
but
gone back,
we
yeah,
rewrote
they
what
have.
we had on first reading.
They haven't done anything. They are
Because we
just
realized that
gonna
it
hear it.
was
They're just gonna
much
read it.
more intense than our literature pages. So it has been remodeled by,
Has it been rewritten already?
it has been rewritten.
Who has that?
It is already
Planning and zoning.
What is
It's
that?
With the amendments?
Exactly like
It is
that.
already being advertised.
Who has a
with-
copy of that?
You have a copy,
We have a
planning
Right
and
here?
zoning have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's already being advertised for planning and zoning to be heard at the September meeting. I'm just
You have a
telling
copy,
it's-
Madam Clerk?
Yes, it
I'm
has.
giving it back.
It's the third on it, and it says draft on the top of it, Mayor.
Right.
Mayor,
This is
can
the
I
one
ask?
that they're gonna present to us, though? This is gonna be the final version, as we
Yeah.
know, Cindy?
Correct.
I'm sorry.
Bill Lasso, can I ask you a question about the
Yes.
I keep reading through it, and it's very thorough. There's no definition in this separate sanitary sewer system for a subdivision. There's no definition of subdivision. So when I'm looking here in the book, it says a subdivision is anything, any piece of property divided into two lots or has a new street. So what is a subdivision, and who does this?
The subdivision of property, and the definition during the beginning of the subdivision regulations. This is one piece of the new subdivision regulations that we adopted earlier last year.
But
So
who
the
would this
definitions are
affect?
in the front of the
Okay, so
subregs.
what is the definition of a subdivision? Okay, I was just getting some idea of, is that 10 lots, is that 20 lots, is that 30
It's
lots?
anytime you subdivide a lot.
So subdivision, the definition is, I read it,
Yeah.
two lots.
Could be.
So anybody wanting to subdivide one lot into two would need to put their own separate sanitary sewer system? That doesn't, what? Really? If they cannot hook up to a,
If the subdivision can't be handled by the system already in place by the city.
so if it doesn't meet all these criteria.
Right.
Then
That's
you,
right. So a one lot into two, more than likely is gonna be able to be met. But maybe at some point we'll tip over.
and you
there
reach
will
that
be two
capacity that
lots
you cannot.
That won't be able, but somebody wants to make 100 lots, more than likely, the system may not be able to handle it. So it's a calculation that the burden is shifted onto the property owner to prove that they will not tip our system over. So the burden shifts over. In other words, in the past, it was anybody who wants to hook up, will hook up. With this system, you have to prove that we can handle you, and if we can't, then you have to go find a solution.
And not for a single lot in a single family home, only if you're subdividing a piece of property into two.
Right, yeah.
If someone requested permit for R1 tomorrow, this does not apply to them.
Right, that's not like admin action.
Right.
What point would the prospective builder find out about this? If I go buy a 100-foot lot and I want to put two houses on it, then, I mean, all of a sudden I find out that I got to spend whatever it costs.
Property owner is responsible to know what all subdivision regulations are. Ignorance is not, it's gonna be a defense, he's gonna put it down. But Mr. Charlet is gonna fill out the forms, he's gonna, there'll be a box there, are you hooking up, or can the system handle you? And if the answer is no, well then you tip over into this long, complicated ordinance.
And actually-
It's not gonna happen with 2 lots, it's gonna happen with that 100-lot subdivision.
But subdivision definition is two lots. Just to let you know, Lawrence, I read this, we give the property owner 2 years to put in their own separate sanitary system. So, I mean, it's not like they have to do it while they're building, you have 2 years to meet the requirement. Is
I
that correct?
understand the concern, but it just
that's
it seems like we're waving a flag saying we want nobody to build anything in our city.
No. There's gonna come a point to where somebody's gonna subdivide a lot 2 or 3 years down the road, and they may put something on there because we're almost at capacity back there.
What about you?
It could be. But suppose I buy, 4 or 5, one big piece of property on Colonial or something like that, and, Colonial Country Club, down there in the 300 block, there's that big piece of property, that could actually be gone into a couple of pieces. And when that would happen, if that were to go into, say, 3 or 4 pieces, that piece, by virtue of what they build on it, they tip the,
I understand.
the amount over.
It may be something you want to think about since you're working on it, that maybe if you would put the number of houses at 5 on up, with that type of language, this doesn't seem to be
Well, and-
feasible to a 2-person, somebody buying a piece of property with
Right.
2 houses on it.
And remember, when we started talking about the reason why I wanted to make sure that if anybody who just bought a piece of property, one piece of property, that we would hope that they would be the one to tip over, the numbers, that they can hook up to the system. But they're almost completely saturated.
I think
the
FEMA made a
original-
mistake right after Katrina by telling everybody how to put their houses so high, and a lot of people did it needlessly, because 2 years later, they changed the maps and nobody had to put it that darn high. A lot of money, is what I'm just saying.
The original ordinance, now it's been amended in terms of verbiage, but the original ordinance was written by me. The reason I did it is for anyone that might plan to put 200 homes, 150 homes, or 300 homes to a new subdivision. I wanted to make sure they had to put a sewer plant in.
Right.
That's the point.
Totally understand.
And
I'm
how
just,
we got to this is several technical meetings with Viola, 2 public hearings before the Planning and Zoning Commission, several meetings with Councilman Murray, and a model from another community that is positioned exactly like we are today, with a sewer system, a sewer treatment plant that is about to tip over. And this is the fail-safe. And you know, we could put those kind of amendments in it, that's perfectly okay. Those are policy decisions that's totally in your ballpark. But I'd like us to get Viola back here. I'd like us to make sure we model it against this community, which we use, which is in the exact same situation we're in today. Because if you exempt the 5s, well, how many 5s is it? If we get 25s, 25 lot subdivisions in 2 months, that might be what tips us over. So, I know, it's a tough decision.
It is a tough decision, because, I mean, just whether you for or against that, or the conversion of property, I mean, if I was a stranger watching this meeting, I would kind of say, Harahan doesn't want anything. You know, we're against that, you know, that we don't want the commercial, I understand that, but now we don't want even people building 2 houses.
Well, we started with the premise, new development needs to pay its own way. It's not that we don't want to, and we said that at every meeting, planning, zoning, everything.
let me ask you this too. If somebody comes to apply for application and they haven't gotten, and they say they apply, but they don't have all their stuff together. They haven't done this or,
To build or
to build or to subdivide.
Well, to
what-
build's different from to
Right,
subdivide.
okay, to subdivide, they say they didn't have all their stuff together anyway. And then this ordinance, they put it in, but they didn't have their stuff, so it still has to roll over. And what happens if, you will vote on this next month, because planning and zoning will hear on September, the first Wednesday in September, and then we're the 3rd Thursday. So, from that day forward, then we would be working with this ordinance. But building permits would be totally different.
Building permits are different.
Right, so even though it's, because there may be somebody
It's only
here
when you
right.
subdivide a lot.
Right, it's only when you subdivide a lot, not a building permit.
And the other thing is you have the prerogative as a council to put an effective date. You can say this ordinance is effective in 60 days.
It might be effective inside.
Well,
Is it confusion?
You can do it any way you want, the city attorney can.
Well,
do
they're all
that, but-
effective tonight.
Is the confusion subsection A, Councilman Murray? Is the confusion subsection A?
Say it again.
Yeah.
So where is the confusion?
Yes,
A?
that looks like that is.
I think what the confusion is this is absolutely stated in anybody, in subsection A. Anybody that buys a 100-foot lot, say 120 feet, splits it into 2 sixties, because they have required front footage, is gonna have to put in their own system. Later down in D, in the purpose, it talks about, maybe we could do something like that, hopefully it only take that or something. But it is subject to capacity.
The intent is, I think what it says is you have to put your own system in if the system that the city of Harahan has
Right.
cannot meet your needs.
But I think their issue is it falls further down.
You have to read the whole thing.
Yeah.
Is that a septic tank? Is that?
Yeah.
That
No,
provides?
it's, city
No,
can do
It's
it.
a filterage system, like.
We don't know what the solution is.
Oh, I see.
But I think that's a concern, right?
We're not voting on it tonight.
It's
We're not voting on it
not
tonight,
Not
right?
everybody.
And we're not designing a grocery basis.
Okay.
Should we add some verbiage or something at one point? Yeah. Heard anything, right?
No, please, God, no.
We need another committee meeting, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
All right, I'd like to do that.
All right. A could probably use some additional language. You can do that.
You made it, she got you down.
Motion by Landry, second by Murray. All those in favor? Any opposed? 5 yeas, no nays.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
We're deferring that.
Number 4, Madam Clerk.
How long are you deferring it?
Till next meeting.
No.
Next
No,
meeting.
just till next meeting.
Yeah, if you defer it, it comes up the next meeting. You want to table it.
Ordinance for the following ordinance proposed by Councilman Murray and seconded by Councilman, this is a police department budget.
Second.
Landry. An ordinance amending ordinance 1710, the annual budget revenue and expenditures for the fiscal year ending December 31, 2011 for the city of Harahan. Be it ordained by the council of the city of Harahan, state of Louisiana, acting as the governing authority of said city, that section 1 is hereby ordered that the following items be and there hereby serve as the amendments for the 2011 police department budget. Do you want me to read each one, Mayor, or may I just go down and say the total is still the same, $1,560,000? Section 6, the severability repeal clause is referenced in ordinance 1566 is incorporated into this ordinance. The foregoing ordinance having been submitted to a vote, the vote thereon was as follows.
Any discussion? Oh, I'm sorry. Open up the public hearing. Motion to close the public hearing by John. Second. Oh, I'm sorry. Good. This is about the police department. Not yet. Later on, yeah, we'll call you. Okay, close the public hearing. Motion by Johnson, second by Murray. All in favor? Ready? Discussion. Who wants to go first? Murray?
No discussion, we're ready.
You would.
Yeah, we're finished with 4, we're on to 5?
No, we're doing four.
No, we're still on 4.
Four.
Okay.
Discussing four.
Well, doesn't matter. The chief is not here, but, what we're doing is raising his budget.
No, we're just moving money
We're
around.
moving line items,
Raising the
sorry.
budget. All we doing?
Yeah, we are. That's what they're, know what the changes are?
He's just moving money around.
Just moving money around.
Line item.
Line
Yes,
items.
moving line
That's all
items.
he's doing.
That's all.
We do this all year
You're
long
up.
because that's the
Mhm.
law.
Right.
You want to explain it, Cindy?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll just say that we're moving line items around. His travel expense, just for instance, his travel expenses may need to go up because he's expecting this next quarter to have a meeting where he has to go out of town, or he has to send people out of town to be trained or something, and we may take it out of another line item that he knows he's not going to use as much. So you're always moving your budget around as you see things change. Sometimes you have to raise the salaries or lower the, if somebody leaves, you lower the salaries then. You have to just keep adjusting throughout the year before the end of the year comes. You never have to be over, you never should be more than 5% over your budget. So you move stuff around so that it still continues to equal itself. And he did come to me this week and asked me, he said he needed some more money. He doesn't, to perform his budget, to add to his budget. And for whatever reason, I kind of got confused a minute thinking that,
We got a police
that,
department.
yeah, we have to, that's right, we have to put his appearance bond money in it, which will up his budget. He's had to do a lot of cleaning house, he's had to do a lot of work, there was a lot of, maintenance issues that he had with the department, with different, pieces of equipment, so some of that has gone a little bit higher, and of course, everybody knows electricity's gone higher, and, gasoline has gone so much higher, and, we're moving some of those things around to try to accommodate stuff, so that's all that's about.
Next time I can do it in one sentence.
I just got a note here from somebody telling Cindy.
Councilman Hughes.
No, we don't have any specifics. This is just he wants to move money around.
Well,
So-
that we were, well, yes and no. The specifics are in, if you were to compare this with this last.
So I'd have to take this, compare it to the one we received in January, and figure out the changes.
It's
Not
right
like
to
they-
do it as long as the bottom number doesn't change.
Okay, so we don't get a projection of, I need to change it from this bucket to that bucket.
Well,
We
yeah,
just,
that's
we
the way
go
to put it.
figure it out.
Well, I hope you got a run for this month.
Yeah.
Right. You can compare it with that.
Okay.
You'll see that he's overspent some line items. But this,
Ones that are in surplus, he'll move to the ones that are in the negative.
all those in favor? Any opposed? 5 ayes.
eastern side of the drainage construction until they can resume their former stockpile location. Now therefore be ordained by the council of the city of Harahan, state of Louisiana, acting as a governing authority of said city, that Section 1, Ordinance 1333, Section 15, NU, non-urban Voucher District be temporarily amended to allow the stockpiling of limestone rock on the Mississippi River Voucher within the city limits of Harahan as a permitted use in the NU zoning for the duration of the construction of the Harahan Pump to the River Drainage Project. Section 2, severability and repeal clauses referenced in Ordinance 1566 and incorporated into this ordinance. This ordinance having been submitted to a vote thereon was as follows.
Public hearing's open. Anybody want to address the council?
No, it didn't because it's just temporary.
All right, Madam Clerk, close the public hearing. Any discussion?
No discussion.
All those in
Discuss
favor?
this in depth, no discussion.
Any opposed? All those in favor?
Yay.
5 yeas, no nays. Madam Clerk,
This is 1A. Listen, you all tell me how you all want to handle this. This is the ordinance that was heard by planning and zoning.
you don't have anybody to introduce it, do you?
Have anybody introduced?
It'll fail for no longer.
Go to old business.
So 1A fails, but no author.
Old business? Okay. Let me start off with old business. It's really not old business, but I wanted to do this, I wanted to do it earlier than the reports because I wanted it to be seen by more people. But today's the anniversary of Sugar Marcellus death, and I just wanted to memorialize that. It did contribute a great deal of time and effort to all of us doing well and looking at this council. He has a site, which is sugarlarcellacharity.org, and I asked y'all to look at that. And it's a charitable site that was put up for you to maintain its charitable ways for his death. Madam Clerk, any other old business?
I don't have any.
Anybody got any old business? New business.
Okay, I have, in here you have the nominations for the Board of Adjustment and Appeals. We have it open.
I have a nomination.
Ms. Murray.
It is for Mr. National Campbell. I gave everybody a copy of it. Everybody come up with
Any other nominations? Motion to close the nominations. By Johnson, second by Hewitt, all in favor? Okay, well, we have to lay over for 30 days. Kind of stupid to do that.
I understand, but we can nominate.
Do we have a
One, two.
motion to send the normal procedure?
Mayor, I just.
Right. Motion by Johnson, second by Murray, all in favor?
Yay.
Okay, all in favor of this nomination? Any opposed? Any abstentions? If you would, contact Madam Clerk maybe early next week and we'll go from there.
any way you individually, head on up. We do appreciate it, and I would like to know that since you're an IT guy, maybe you can, offer some of your services to the city.
We gotta get trained too.
And we have to get you trained.
They'll listen.
You do have to go through, is it 4 hours, 4 hours of training? You have to get to listen to their, so.
Bring your pillow. No, just kidding.
Okay, Madam Clerk, any other new business?
The other business is St. Rita's Pond Festival.
Is there a motion? Motion by Landry, second by Johnson, all in favor?
Yay.
And they got the policeman or what? Madam Clerk?
I told them to contact the police department, they were to contact.
All right, any other new business? We're gonna address the council. Anybody wanna address the council? Now's the time to do it.
How you doing? I'm Tony Manziel. And, I understand all y'all concern. I do. 13 months ago, came in this morning and, with a member years. And Colonial was in bad shape. I came in there to try to save Colonial, save the green space. Sat with every one of them. Every council person up here. Every one of them told me to my face, save as much green space as you can. And after that, it's almost impossible. There's 6.5 million. So, I went round and round, at least 20 different plans. Houses, this, conservation easement, all different. We went through it all. Save as much green space. All kept hearing, save as much green space. Well, came up with a plan. Got a development that wanted to do it. To save as much green space as possible. And affect people. No matter what plan is going to be put forth, it's going to affect someone. $6.5 million, you can't put a TP in somebody's potential. Fortunately, where we sit now, I was told to save as much green space. I'm in a predicament now that I have a lemon going down my throat. I got 20 residential developers breathing down my throat. The last thing I want to do is give this land or sell this land to the residential developer. The federal government is actually calling me. I don't have an answer. But when they say residential development is going on Colonial Country Club, you can have people from here to Colonial Country Club screaming and yelling. And I don't know the answer, and I'm trying to do whatever I can to save that green space. And now, I don't know if I can save it. And I hope y'all can defend off whoever comes in. But I gotta get out of it now. So I'm hoping y'all can do a job doing whatever y'all gonna do to try to save that green space. And y'all all five told me that was the most important thing to do. Save the green space. I think I did a God-going good job of trying to save that green space. I understand it's 15 acres. I understand these people are gonna be affected. And I understand it's big old businesses. No one else is gonna pay $6.5 million or more to get out of debt and to save that green space. So, 6 months from now, whatever it is, a year from now, I hope you five can be defended off, actually, because I would love to see the green space. All these people that want to talk bad about Tony Manziel, Tony Manziel has done nothing. It's straightforward with you. Fortunately, it was y'all's houses. I'm sorry it was y'all's houses. But houses down Colonial Club, there's 26 more people's houses too. The street down Glenwood, there's 26 more houses down there. Houses in the front of Colonial Club, they'll all say y'all want houses. But the guy, that's really what y'all want. I really hope that's what y'all want. Because that's what's probably coming. I mean, I can see the city trying to block it already. They're going to have to fight the big ass developer. But I hope they can do it. And I feel for y'all, I really do. And I'm not, it wasn't the first plan Tony Manziel came up with. Tony Manziel tried everything possible to try to do the littlest thing on that piece of property. 15 acres of 88 people property as little as I can do to get out of $6.5 million worth of debt. And I've spent a lot of time and a lot of money. And I was told, save the green space, save the green space. Well, I saved it, I thought. But in y'all's eyes, I don't think I still saved it. So I'm a little upset, of course, because I wish I would have been told 6 months ago, a year ago. Tony, no matter what you do. But I sat there and tried everything possible to get that piece of property, change that country club from the way it was going, do everything. I put my wife, my kid, a lot of time, family stress. I got a lot of gray hair now. I dyed it. I can't take it no more. And I was trying to do this for the city of Harahan. I don't care what everybody says. A money grab. You know what a money grab is? Me selling this thing residential. I would have had to work my rear end off, because guess what? This one thing would have done. Would have got me about even. And I would have had to make my money. Selling it as a residential developer to a residential developer, if it's whatever. I mean, there's numbers of 10, 15. I owe the lender, and we know what that price is. So that is making Mr. Manzella rich. That's not what Mr. Manzella wants. Mr. Manzella wanted to save what I was told to save, which some people, it's the green space. My case was save the green space, save a country club that I belong to. If anybody I talk to outside of this city, they want to go, you say Harahan, they say country club. I know y'all don't understand that, but golfing people understand that. The plan that we had forth was to save the green space, double the retention pond, do whatever we had to do, and we would have danced the dance to make it happen. But now, I don't know what's going to happen. And that's all. I had to get up here and say my piece. I hope I didn't sound like an idiot, but I had to say it. I mean, I've been not been able to talk. It's been frustrating. I've been getting beat up, and you know, my wife, kid. It takes a lot of heat from, you know, the 25 homes on each side that are making comments, and my son don't understand all that. But you know, I did what was right. I know I can sleep at night because I did what was right. I tried to save this place. I hope something can fall from the sky to save it, but I think y'all are going to be looking at home. Thank you.
This will take 30 seconds. It's about Colonial Golf Course. The attorney that just walked out the door, when we had a series of meetings, he stood up and said that he welcomed, invited, wanted to hear anybody that had a proposal to help save the golf course. Tonight, I heard a proposal from Mr. Flynn about in the middle of the golf course, putting high dollar homes, $400,000 or $500,000 homes, a series of them in the middle of the golf course. If that means half the golf course in the middle is a series of $400,000, $500,000 homes, and 50% of the golf course surrounding the homes is still a golf course, I think that would answer everybody's concerns. I think that would be satisfactory to everybody, and I'd like to just see if that is even a remote possibility, a viable option. I'd like to look. I'd like for the Colonial, Mr. Manzella and his attorney to look at that. Just because it's been mentioned, I think it needs to be looked at. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the Secretary's report?
Secretary's report for July is $275,059.48.
No report there. I have a very small one. We just received from the city of Harahan phase 1, 2, and 3 of
well. He taught my kids in baseball. They're good people, guys. They are. The whole family is. So, I mean, everybody can't get happy, and this is probably the toughest part of the job. But, thank you, Dale. We'll talk about it next month. You have a good night.
I just want to remind everybody that school's back in. Please pay attention to all little kids running back and forth across the highway. I know this Colonial deal is a tough situation. I really hope that we can come to some kind of resolution on it. I do not want to finish my 4 years here without having a decisive answer to it and bequeath it on to the next council. I want to make sure we get this done in my time and have some kind of answer to it. Just want to tell everybody, have a great school year. Have a good night. You can contact me on my cell phone at any time, 343-7762, 343-7762. Thank you.
I have no report, but I'd like to announce tonight officially that I am running for the Jefferson Parish Council District 2 seat for 16 and a half years experience in my district. And if anybody's interested in calling me, my cell phone number is 250-8354. We have a headquarters at 7303 Jefferson Highway, and we're going to have a headquarters at 272 Salad Drive in West Wego. So we're looking forward to the next 9 weeks. But if anybody would like to talk about any issues in the district, I'd be glad to discuss it. I think one of the biggest issues in the district is flooding and blight. We need to look into that and continue the progress that the parish has done in the past 8 years with the work, with the pump to the river coming up, the work they're doing in the drains, with the ditches. They're widening the ditches. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of projects going on in River Ridge, West Wego. I won't go any further. I just want to make an official announcement tonight.
Fix a lot of streets in the great city of Harahan.
Correct. I'm a proponent of recycling, and I'm gonna try and lobby the council to vote for it in the near future. I'll discuss it more at the next meeting. I recommend you contact us, either through the website or in person or through the phone. If you're in favor of recycling, please call your council and myself. Right now, I'm looking at a proposal which would be less than $3 a month. A lot of people would probably feel awkward with that, but I'm a person who believes that at the end of the day, it's better to recycle. When I took office as mayor recently, there were 3 issues that kind of, for lack of a better word, put Harahan in a bad light. I'm going to go through those 3 issues because they've all resolved themselves, thanks to former Mayor Johnson, in a manner which is positive. We had the unfortunate incident with the police department where one of our employees was indicted and pled guilty and was sentenced for basically fraud regarding a grant that went to the police department. Now that person, in pleading guilty, made complete restitution. So we're embarrassed by that issue, but that person made complete restitution prior to being sentenced. So we're thankful for that. That investigation put a dark cloud on City Hall. But I want to assure you that the government investigated completely, diligently, and found no wrongdoing by anyone at City Hall. And for that, I thank you. The second thing is that we had another unfortunate situation where one of our employees unfortunately stole money from our court system where she worked. That person was prosecuted, pled guilty, and is currently completing her restitution. We got her first check today. So we're going to get all that money back from the court system. And it's unfortunate set of circumstances. No one can predict. It's embarrassing to the city. I know it's embarrassing to the mayor, to myself, but We didn't go out and say to this person, go do this. And when we found out about it, again, I thank the mayor for remedying the situation as expeditiously as he did, and I want to let you know that we started that resolution today. Third issue was the sewer plant. When the mayor found out that we were taking in somebody else's sewage, we were able to sit down with the company, and they reimbursed us for the $187,000 we got back because, unfortunately, the people that were involved in that were terminated. And, with government, you got enough to do with reading these books, believe me. Then you got to watch and see what's going on around you. So it's a massive situation. Thank God we have people over here who are sensitive and who are diligent, and we have citizens who are very helpful to us in reporting of things they think are unusual or peculiar. And we ask them to keep on doing that. So again, I wanted to bring those three things out and say that. Because a lot of times you hear rumors in the community. I want to try and set the record straight. Harahan has run itself throughout the years. There Ferrara, there Wilcox, Mayor Johnson. I mean, we're blessed to have people, all the council, who contribute their time, effort, and energy, go out in the community, and people might yell at them or don't treat them with the respect that they deserve. It's a tough situation. As far as I'm concerned, I'm Catholic. I turn the other cheek either way. I don't really care. I'm going to do the best I can. And if you have a gripe, don't be afraid to tell me. I'm very thick-skinned. I apologize if I've offended anyone. And in fact, I'll go further and say, if I offend anyone the next year, I apologize to you. Anything else?
Gotta pay the bill.
Oh, pay the bill. Let's pay some bills.
$300,357.92.
All right, anything else? Motion by Murray, second by Johnson. To adjourn. All in favor? Any opposed? 5 days, 9 days.
There are some areas in the parish that are historically have blighted buildings and dangerous buildings and structures, a lot of abandoned vehicles. Today we'll be going in with code enforcement, one of their inspectors, to write up and try to remove a lot of the abandoned and dangerous vehicles. Some that are left on blocks that are a danger to children and things of that nature, others that are in violation of code because they're not able to